Overrated. I don't think I've watched any of the other parts, but this dude Barry keeps on making the overrated, underrated, properly rated. I don't. And oh, you know what's really funny? The last one, because I'll scroll through the comments. The Clip channels, and you know, like at some crazy. I'll scroll through the comments sometimes, and one dude's like, "Oh my god, you're not a real sports fan. You only know basketball. Why do you skip through the hot? Like, bro, I'm not watching hockey. I am not watching, like."
Yes, baby. It's time for another edition of Overrated, Underrated, Properly Rated. Let's begin. Andrew Bailey. Anquan Bolden, one of the more underrated wide receivers. Right? Very long.
Yeah, I don't care.
So lung cancer and your videos are helping. I'm glad that I clinched. Lynch was similar to Fall.
Don't care. Oh yeah. Also, I saw someone say that the audio is too loud. Tell me while I'm streaming.
Would love to hear your thoughts on him. Well, he was again. He's well known for most, but his high school tends to become more of a chore.
Wait. High school? Now this is something.
But his name is well known anyway.
This is something I can talk about.
Overrated. Lemurs are us. High school. I feel it is essential for most, but tends to become more of a chore rather than a place of learning. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the topic. Well, everybody's high school experience is different. For me, it was fucking terrible. The only thing I actually enjoyed was playing football. Looking back, honestly, I used very little of the shit I was forced to learn then in my life now. Seriously, fuck geometry and especially proofs. They don't teach you to do anything like taxes or how to balance a checkbook or anything about the stock market, etc. That shit is actually important and affects your life in a daily basis. Verdict: overrated.
High school. I didn't think this was going this way. High school, slightly. Is high school? No, high school can't be overrated though, because not many people like high school. I think the concept of being young is underrated though. Don would know. Don's about 40. The concept of being young, like, is underrated because then you kind of just get old. I feel like also too, you know, I'm starting to not like as I get older, as I turn 21 years old. No age. I like the feeling of ages feeling different. Like the concept of advancement, like forced advancement, was kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, this year I'm cooler because I'm on a higher grade. 21 is not that old. Chill out. Most everybody you watch is older than bro. I've been in the game for 3 years and I'm 21. That's young. Let's chill out. But yeah, after you're like out of high school, I didn't go to college, especially after that. Taylor, you are. I was seeing some Joe Ingles highlights when I remember to subscribe to your channel. Thank you so much.
Moon Man, Andre.
Yeah, but everything after high school, especially because I didn't go to college, doesn't. Shu, you were older than me. Shu is engaged. Shu is literally engaged. He is 22 and engaged. You are eternal. You are otherworldly. I'm 38. Been a nurse for 10 years. We'll be doing. See, you call me old, and then this dude's in here. He a nurse, and he 38. He old. But it's all good because we're all here, right? We all just alive. I don't even remember high school. It's been almost 3 years since we graduated. Yeah, I graduated during COVID. I graduated during COVID too, and I think I had a dream the other day about the last day of school. And I didn't even experience that. Like, I don't even know. I felt like I was recalling like a memory, but I didn't go to the last day of school either. They were talking about COVID. I'm like, nah, I'm all right. But yeah, I think high school is properly rated because everybody thinks it's overrated anyway. The actual school, yeah, it's overrated. Because after like at least. Honestly, after 8th grade, everything is kind of trash. Like, you don't really learn anything valuable after 8th or 9th grade. Like, genuinely, like, subject-wise, I feel like. Math gets weird. Science, you could argue, doesn't get weird. No, it does, because then it becomes more math, and then it gets weird. And I liked math as a kid, but, like, it gets weird. History, I was always pretty good at, because it's just remembering things. And what was the other one? If I don't remember it, then... What was the other one? Oh, English. English is I like English.
Reed, one of the most underrated wide receivers in history, primarily because of the dominance of Jerry Rice in his era. Well, Reed was very good, and he is in the Hall of Fame. His counting stats are impressive.
I'm studying law and I am 20. I don't know if I still have the time to change. Now we just talking about life for real. Hold on, let me hear this other stuff.
And he made 7 Pro Bowls for the early 90s Bills that made
most people who last year was 2020 last day Eternal Take dropped. Yeah, I remember listening to Eternal Take right before my school stopped. Yo, Musty making fun of people's ages. Oh, I know you 40.
4 Super Bowls. But upon further review,
I do feel bad though, like the whole making fun of people's ages, because like most of the greatest people achieve their things at like late 20s, but it's funny to make fun of people's ages as long as you like are aware that it's just a joke. Loki hate
his legacy doesn't.
I don't know.
I think the show fell off.
Whoa.
Ray 006. Ed Nettie, my favorite Cartoon Network
He's really just breaking boundaries. The first one I watched of this was just sports.
show as a kid. People think the show fell off when the kids went to school and summer ended, but I think the opposite. It's one of the few shows that got better as it went on. I love the show, and the thought of a giant jawbreaker always enters my mind whenever it's mentioned. It was just a fun show that made you forget about shit. There were no adults in it, which I enjoyed, and I liked how they never showed what was under Double D's hat, which hints that he's heavily deformed somehow. Also, the fan theory that they're all stuck in purgatory is very interesting too. Verdict, underrated.
Underrated. Actually, you know what? Very underrated. You know why? Because all these 14-year-old, 16-year-old, I think most of the people like 18 plus will watch this show, but all these like young kids be overrating the early 2010s cartoon. Not even overrating. Just like all these kids now, like all I ever hear about is the regular show and the other one, the one with Finn and Jake. That's all I ever hear about now. And nobody talks about these. I'm like, what the? They clear it. Ed and Eddie, Foster's Home. What's the other one? They all clear it. I'm trying to remember the other one I'm thinking of. Yeah, whatever. There's like 5 of them. They all clear. Chowder. Most people remember Chowder because Chowder was like in between. Ed and Eddie, I think, got canceled in like 2008. Yeah. Yeah, Johnny Test. No, we're not talking about Johnny Test. Wasn't Johnny Test the one on Disney? It was alright, but like, chill out. Kids Next Door was great. Like, oh, bro, this show, bro. I was in the 1st grade in 2008. That is not old. I will never be old.
1 meter Skeeter. Oh, wow. Hey, Barry, would love to hear your thoughts on the late great Drazen.
Cam Laszlo wasn't
almost
corny.
Everyone on the Dream Team have said that Drazen was the only person who showed no fear towards any of.
Nah, Oswald was. We was just talking about Oswald the other day. Oswald was goated. Billy and Mandy. That was one. Billy and Mandy's the greatest show off that network, in my opinion. It's the greatest show. All right. It goes Billy and Mandy, then Ed and Eddie / Foster's Home. And then everything else, I don't care. But Billy and Mandy's the greatest.
Them, and had his life not been cut short, he would have dominated the NBA more than.
But Fairly Odd Parents was Nickelodeon, though. We're not talking about Nickelodeon. Not talking about him.
He already had at that point. He was a phenomenal shooter. No offense to Clint.
Wait. What was top 5 done? Class of 3000?
Eastwood. Well, Drazen was an incredible shooter and a very good
Drazen?
scorer, but he was pretty one-dimensional. He didn't grab many rebounds, generate assists, or defend much. I do think because he died young and way before his time, people tend to overstate how good he was just a bit. He was an all-star caliber player, but not on the level of the all-time greats, at least in his NBA career. Could he have become that? We'll never know, sadly. Verdict, overrated. Xander Goodman.
Whoa. Did my flexor thing just say clocks? Well, is tonight the night that the clocks go back? Oh no, it's about to be dark at 4 p.m. every day. I'm about to. Oh, you know, those are low-key the best times, though. No, those are the best times. Whenever I wake up, oh my God, some of the best times of my life are when I wanted to jump off a bridge, and you wake up at like 4 p.m. and then it's already dark out, but you fell asleep and it was dark out, and you just missed the entire day. So fire.
Windu. I hear lots of chatter about how great of a Jedi Master he was. He choked when it mattered most. "Quote unquote," eye test
or is it
means
next
nothing
week?
When you don't have the hardware to
also, isn't it ending soon?
Back it up. Love your
Who is
videos,
this?
Barry.
Jedi Master?
Well, I
never
disagree
watched
that
Star
Windu
Wars.
didn't come through when it mattered most, but I feel like he was forgotten as soon as he left San Francisco. He is a tricky one. He was a good Tyler. Thank you. I mean, I really can't say anything about Kuechly that
fun
hasn't
fact.
already.
Luke Kuechly, my dad is really big into fantasy football, and when I was a kid, they didn't draft defensive teams as like a group. And for some reason, I saw dude Luke Kuechly, and I drafted him, and he was really good, and he won like rookie defensive player of the year, whatever the hell. They got like a bunch of subdivisions of awards in NFL.
Thank you. Very smart. Absolute kept to date him.
I think he's like he retired now, but he was good.
Yes, that's how they call it.
Hello. Great
AJ
hair.
McCarron voting about this
Anything else?
Everything. Dora the Explorer.
Wait, Dora.
Truly one of the icons of television that many children have watched for generations.
Dora is overrated. I watched the Berlizzi video like 6 years ago. I can't go back. It's overrated.
Slugger content vary. Dora always came across as a pretentious bitch to me. A snotty know-it-all. Oh, look at me. I'm Dora, and I have a talking monkey named Boots. I'm so cool, and I speak multiple languages. She also treated Swiper the Fox like shit. Hey, Dora, maybe instead of yelling at Swiper all the time, you could try to ask him what's wrong instead, you bitch. Verdict? Overrated. Derek Mercer. Jamal Crawford. Sixth man of the decade, if you ask me. It was always a pleasure to watch him convert
Overrated depending on the person you talk to.
4-point plays. To me, Crawford was the NBA equivalent of fast food. He'd always have exciting handles and occasionally make some nice 4-point plays, as you said. But in the big picture, the more you relied on him, the worse your team got. He was never a player who had a game that was conducive to winning, which is why his teams usually didn't keep him around very long. Verdict? Overrated. No man.
He's like the typical like guy you like that can. He was basically like Michael Beasley, but a different font and minus whatever off-court stuff. I don't even know what kept Michael Beasley off the court, but yeah, it wasn't as bad as the stuff that's been going on recently with Miles Bridges and Josh Primo. But hey,
SM, the color purple, the actual color, not the movie.
The color purple, I don't think is one of the best colors, but I feel like a lot of people like the color purple. Like,
you think it's one of the best colors, but people never talk about it. I've honestly never thought about colors in debates before.
That's why Clique was mad we picked him for our team. No, that 2002 draft is garbage, bro.
But yeah, the color purple is probably cool, I guess. It represented royalty in the old days. Personally, I would put it behind colors like blue and red, but it's above yellow and green. Verdict? Properly rated. Local Bread 14.
He gets it.
Nirvana, one of the best bands of all time in my opinion, but a lot of people on the matter. Well, to me, as a diehard Dragon Ball Z,
what do you say that
lasted much longer anyway. At least Kurt went out with a bang though. Verdict? Properly rated. Kurt turned Super Saiyan 2 versus Cell. It actually meant something back then, goddammit. Verdict? Overrated. John,
what do you say was overrated? Wait, what was it? Power levels and I never watched Dragon Ball Z. Giraffes?
The popular zoo animals, so wanted to get
this is great.
I disagree. I don't think giraffes are underrated at all. These assholes enjoy sticking their necks into people's faces literally and figuratively and making a scene about it. Like, okay, douchebag, we get it. Your neck is really long. Congrats, douche. Verdict? Overrated. Gag Guy 4014. Chuck Norris. I personally love Walker, Texas Ranger, despite his cheesiness. His quote-unquote
I just know Chuck Norris from the memes. I don't think I've ever seen him in anything.
No athlete in my lifetime means more to their sport than Tiger Woods. He makes golf relevant on a national scale single-handedly. That being said, 15 years ago, it looked like he was going to destroy every record there was. And because of his addiction to pussy and some car accidents, he won't reach Jack Nicklaus's record, which is disappointing. Still, his run during his peak will never be seen again, even if he might have underachieved slightly in totality. Verdict? Properly rated. Aladdis 11. Candyman.
What do you say? Properly rated?
Underachieved slightly in totality. Verdict? Properly rated. Aladdis 11. Candyman. Specifically the first movie. For me, the movie score and Candyman as a character make the first movie
I never watched.
Classic.
I don't watch
Sad
movies.
Fox. Pistol Pete.
Oh, Pistol Pete Maravich, arguably the greatest college basketball player ever. He was a pioneer in the art.
Maravich, arguably the greatest college basketball player ever.
I wasn't sure if I skipped past it,
but in the art of acrobatic passing, but injuries ruined his career, and he never won anything important. I think he's often overlooked, but I would love to hear your thoughts. Keep up the great work. Pistol Pete is every racist white guy who hasn't watched the NBA since the 70s favorite player. He was a fun and exciting player who, as you said, never won anything and wasn't that efficient, although he did play without the three-point line. If he did play today, he would be decried as a stat patter and a showboat who can't win instead of a legend like he actually is now. Very, very talented, but also very overhyped. Verdict?
I say he's overrated all the time, like all the time. Then I see comments, do the Pistol Pete career sim. I think he's so over. Pistol Pete, you guys want to take a break real quick? Hold on. I gotta show you guys something. Because here's the thing, right? If you like think like now, I know he's a great college player. Pistol Pete. If you look at his what's it called, playoff appearances or whatever. I don't know. I don't even like. Here's the thing, right? Oh yeah, it's right there. It's right there. Okay. So you look at this, right? Great, 31 points per game, like 23, consistent 20 plus point per game score, shooting decent enough, right? You get to the playoffs, playoff series. He played in 5. He played in 5 playoff series. He only made the playoffs 3 times as the star of the team. Lost in the first round every single time. Look at this one. 22 points, 38%. All right. This one, yeah, put his dog in him. Dog. He was dogging. Lost, though. He lost. Sorry, buddy. And then this one also lost. 42%. And then these are in Boston as an old man. Yeah. Sorry, buddy. I don't care. You're like white T-Mac, but like in the 60s, 70s. Yeah, I'm alright, G. I'm alright. Keep your college stuff though. You got it. It's like the equivalent of like a street ball player. I don't care.
Overrated.
Pistol
Retro
mid.
Jasper. David Thompson. I think some people forget how good he actually was when he played. He is.
But no. You said overrated because he died? No. That's the greatest part of his legacy. That he said, "Yo, I hope I don't die." That's like that might be the craziest conspiracy theory in life history, like in world history. That this man said, "Yo, I hope I don't play 10 years, become washed or something like that, and then die of a heart attack at 40." And he did exactly that. He did exactly that.
He's truly one of a kind. I am not overrating him, just saying he's a special player. Well, he was a freak athlete and a special talent who was one of the best players in the late 1970s. So when he was in the right state of mind, he was not overrated, but he got caught up in drugs, got hurt, and had a very disappointing pro career overall. So nowadays, when people wax poetic about him as an NBA legend, he does get overrated. Unless they're talking about his college career, which was truly legendary. Although, since we're talking about his pro career, overrated. Dan Teet, I don't know. just go with it, all right? Bob Cousy, he's an all-time Celtics legend who was one of the first few superstars in the NBA. His handles were impressive for the time. Could his handles and abilities help him adapt to the current game of dominant guard play?
Okay, wait, before he goes. Cousy's numbers are garbage. He won MVPs. He said he goes in on Cousy. Oh, God. Cousy's numbers are garbage, but I did see one thing that said that back in those days, they had way stricter rules on how you were able to dribble. And like if you changed hands, it was considered a travel or something. I don't know. Hopefully that's true because the way he dribbled was atrocious. And regardless, he's overrated. Regardless, because with that bad of shooting numbers, you can't be a top 75 player still after 60 years. You can't. Maybe you can over some of these guys. Like maybe you get rid of like Hal Greer before you. I don't know. Some of these, you know, what's funny though. Some of these guys you could actually watch and see like who you actually like. When I watch Elgin Baylor, when I watch Oscar Robertson, I actually like. They're like I like them. They're cool. Like they actually look pretty. Elgin has a really slow, stupid looking jump shot. Walt Frazier was fantastic at defense, good finisher. You know what I'm saying? When you go back and actually watch these guys, Oscar Robertson. Like really high, stupid looking release, but when he took a fade away, it was money at almost every single point in time. But Bob Cousy, like,
He at best would be a bench warmer in today's NBA if he'd make it at all. He had terrible shooting splits and wasn't a great athlete. Think of it like this. Cousy is like Sarah J. If she was coming up in the industry today, she wouldn't stand a chance since she looks like Chet Holmgren. But she's still a legend of the game because she accomplished so much during the time she came up in. Same logic applies to Cousy and the NBA. Verdict, properly rated. Sebastian Giamonte. Rich Gannon. Guy was an MVP winner and seems to get almost a lot lately. Didn't break 98 bowl.
I need a break after that.
In the Super Bowl though, and that's just how life goes. Verdict, properly rated. Man Dude 123 Go. Inside the NBA on TNT. They are usually regarded, including me as well, as one of the best sports broadcasts of all time. They are very engaged.
I mean, they're properly rated because everybody loves them.
And fun to listen to. It's okay. I'm not as into it as a lot of other people. I think it was a lot funnier before Shaq got there, as he really kills the mood a lot of the time with his insecurity about dumb shit. But overall, I can't say it's overrated since some of the stuff they do is pretty funny.
I think Shaq doing that is actually funnier. Sometimes it's awkward, but a lot of times it's actually funnier. And then the remarks he'll make. Yo, we were just watching on stream. We were just watching it the other day. Yo, Hakeem used to tell me something all the time. Can he bring me some water? Oh man, I love them. Chuck, Google me, Chuck. Google me. I love them, but I won't lie though. I would say they were underrated if they had some sort of like under the surface level or whatever the hell value, below the surface level value that like people didn't realize, but what you see is what you get. Like they're not like overtly smart. They're just cool. We like them. I've never I've never really like intentionally watched it though, and I think that's kind of the beauty of it. It kind of just comes on and then it's just funny, and like you see it like rarely when I have my TV on and I'm watching it, like it'll just, or like I'm watching a game and then like boom, there they are. It's like, all right, yeah, we love him. You can't stand Shaq. Shaq is cool. Shaq is cool. Shaq is just like a normal human. Shaq is like, I don't know. Shaq is cool.
Properly rated. Isaac Wojo. Charles Tillman. He consistently held his own against.
It is funny though how insecure he could be about some things, even though he's so great. And then also too, he'll also be at other times. It's like with Shaq, you're either going entirely one way or entirely the other way. Like he's either incredibly insecure or whatever, not incredibly, but like just like, oh, it doesn't like this regard about this, that, or the other. Like wants to like really assert like what he is, or he's really, really unselfish, selfless, and all that stuff. Like you'll see like beautiful clips of him saying the greatest stuff ever, or then you'll see clips of him like really sad that like Chuck like hurt his feelings.
Great receivers like Moss and Megatron, but has been mostly forgotten by people who aren't Chicago fans. Well, he was a very good player. He finished with 38 picks and 44 forced fumbles.
Why are we doing this every single time?
For a defensive back. But like pretty much every other good to great Bears to be forgotten by most. I would say he's the fourth best 49ers in my life in college on Friday and Saturday nights. It's unfortunate they don't have it. Increases. I honestly feel like college is just another waste of at least 4 more years at school, which is always super expensive, constant homework assignments, tests, projects, quizzes, etc. And on top of that, having to work a minimum wage job, most likely just to pay off the student loans. I also want to add that it increases obesity for the students because they never have time to eat fresh foods and only have to eat processed foods combined with everything I just mentioned before. What do you think about college overall? By the way, Barry, I love your content. Keep it up. You always get me to get a good laugh or chuckle with your jokes. Well, I'm glad I can help out. From an academic standpoint, college was completely useless for me. I didn't give a single fuck about any major or any topics, so I basically coasted through my 4 years. But from a social standpoint, college was absolutely not overrated. I had no social life all the way through high school, but I had the best times of my life in college on Friday and Saturday nights. It's unfortunate they don't have a YouTube major, or else I could have started this channel a lot earlier. In the end, it all balances out. Verdict, properly rated.
How do you guys feel about college? Because I didn't go to college. And it's funny, you guys keep on calling me old, eternal. My friends that I went to high school with are only going into their 3rd year of college. I didn't go to college because I was planning on going to community college because I was smart in when I was really young, and then I fell off because I didn't like school. I would have hated Shu dropped out. I know a lot of people that dropped out. I will say this, most of the people I know dropped out. And then you got to do like the most concrete cookie cutter stuff, or at least so it feels like that's what's advertised to make it any worthwhile to go through college. Obviously for me, college doesn't make any sense. Dropped out but just came back. You made college. All right. College experience really fun, but just sad when you're getting scammed for thousands. Yeah. What else? We need to advertise trade school. Yeah, you kind of just like hear about it. They're still young enough to go to college. Well, yeah, I mean, you go to college whenever. I think it's properly rated. College is worth it for the sports. Wouldn't be there otherwise. Pisses me off. Yeah, college is cooked. Me personally, I would still say, just because I don't do the let me be overtly. I feel like some people, there's some people that I'll see that try and like really, really take an objective viewpoint, be like, oh yeah, go to college, get your degree, and like, it's really good for you, just to be nice, like they care. Like people don't really care what you do. Like, so what I'm saying is people be like, do that as like a backup plan, or do that because, whatever. But like, if you have something that you're really set on, me personally, I was going to go to community college and then eventually just do whatever was the easiest and cheapest. Because it is, it's a plan B. But I also feel like at the end of the day, it's draining and all that stuff. I could barely do high school. And then I'm also not good at, I'm not good at time management when doing things on like my own. Like I would always skip like all the work in high school, and it was like homework that didn't count as much. And then I do like the stuff that would count a little more, like essays, like last second. Whereas in college, it's like a lot of the stuff, and then studying and all this stuff is like really like at home on your own time. And whenever I'm at home on my own time, I'm trying to skip everything possible that you're giving me to do what I want to do, like as a career or whatever. So that if you have a passion that doesn't need a degree, no college. And you know what I feel bad about? Random side thought. I feel bad to all the people from like 20, 30 years ago that also could have been like YouTubers and all that stuff. Because sometimes it's like very unique circumstances that like I've had to talk to people. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like people that like, I feel bad that like, I feel bad of people older than me because I've had people older than me that like will have like envy of like how quickly I've become successful as like a 21-year-old. But it's sad that they didn't have the same opportunity 21 years ago or whatever, 30 years ago or anything like that. Because yeah, it's obviously so much easier. We were just watching the video of the, never mind, I'm just gonna end there. College won't help you when your employer locks you at entry-level wages salaries for like numerous years. Yeah. I also don't know many experiences of what's it called? I don't have many people I know that did go through college entirely, like adults. A lot of like cousins I have kind of just went and then I feel like got jobs that weren't associated with their degree. I don't know. Or just didn't go. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. I'm not really
Doc. How about Vince Lombardi? Definitely one of the greatest to ever do it, but I've seen people putting him in the single greatest ever. I just wanted to know your opinion on him. Look, I don't know if Vince Lombardi is the best head ones and a lot of meh ones. His 2005 and 2015 seasons were MVP worthy, but he never really seems to see him credit for being what I think a very solid quarterback. Well, you're right. Smith deserves credit for coming back from his leg injury and also resurrecting his career from draft bust to respectable starter. But that's are your thoughts? Well, like you said, he's widely considered the best guitar player ever, even though he only made 3 albums and died at 27. Much like with Kurt Cobain and other members of the 27 Club, Jim Morrison, Amy Winehouse, and Janis.
Middle school should get a rating? Middle school is... The thing about middle school is you envy... is that a lot of it is spent envying what you could do if you had the freedom of a high schooler, and then high school is spent wishing you were still in middle school. Like middle school is kind of underrated because you actually, it's like you're not, there's nothing too adult like impending, like there's not much impending doom, but you also can't drive.
Joplin, people tend to slightly overrate them because they died before their time. Hendrix, no doubt, was a great guitar player, and I enjoy some of his songs like Hey Joe, but I don't consider him one of my favorite musicians. Verdict, queen with flaws in her game, but I see her as a great talent whose potential will never be fully seen due to the
Queen Elizabeth sadly passed away prematurely, so who knows how much she would impact the sport of royalty. Some consider her a system queen with flaws in her game, but I see her as a great talent whose potential will never be fully seen due to the extremely early death.
Extremely early death, sad face emoji.
He was
completely
cooking.
Agree with everything you said. The Big E died well before she really had any chance to make an impact on the world. But despite her premature death at the age of 96, she still accomplished many things and sired many respectable children. Like Prince Andrew. I can't talk about this anymore. It's too emotional for me. Verdict? You chatting shit, bro? Nathan. Count Dooku. I think he's under.
The Big E, baby. Oh no, he's cooking. This is the best video I've seen this week. Wait, what is this?
By man, baby, football player who deserves all the praise he gets. Verdict, properly rated. By man, baby man. Boneless wings. Some people got problems with them, but overall they are pretty good. What do you think? I've had boneless wings.
Underrated.
A few times and they were okay, but there's something about bone wings that make it mean more. If you order boneless wings in front of me, I'm kind of gonna think you're a little bit of a bitch. You're supposed to get your hands greasy and shit when eating wings. You're supposed to earn that meat. Pause. As my wife tells her boyfriend every night, give me the bone. Verdict, overrated. Not so short king. Candy corn. It's
boneless wings are underrated. Not like, here's the thing. Boneless wings are underrated. And you know, every time I order normal wings and then I have like 3 of them, I regret it. I don't ever order boneless wings though. So I don't know why I'm saying that as if there's like some sort of like whatever the hell comparison, you know, whatever. But I feel like I would rather eat boneless wings but there's probably, I feel like bone in wings usually feel like, I don't know, we're saying a lot of bone, bigger, like they just feel like they're I'm gonna stop there.
It's a staple.
Candy. I must not speak or I will be in very big trouble. Candy corn is underrated, but it's still bad. But it's not as bad as some people make. There's worse stuff than candy corn. It's corn. It's corn. It's corn. It's bad, but it's not that bad though. It's not that bad. I would have some candy corn. I would have some candy corn. It is corn syrup. Yeah. But I've gotten to that point. My mom was always like very like healthy. Like my mom would go to like she would like we would have no money and all of it was spent at not Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. Is that a Long Island thing? I don't know. It's like a health food place and like, but like it's not healthy because what they'll do with health food is that they'll just like give it the healthy ingredients and then put like 47 grams of sugar in everything. But yeah, that's it. I don't know, but oh yeah, but I ended up, you know, I don't really care about like I don't care about nutrition. You're like oh, it's just corn syrup, whatever, bro. I'm gonna die anyways. Trader Joe's ain't like nationwide, but it's not just Long Island. Oh, okay.
Of Halloween, but honestly, I think it's disgusting. Love the videos, Barry. I absolutely love candy corn, and any person who attacks candy corn, well, I take that as an attack on me and what I stand for. So if you diss candy corn in front of me, I'm gonna sock you and you're gonna hit the ground hard. I could eat that shit all day, even though it makes my man boobs bigger. Verdict, underrated. Red temper, my
cooking, baby, cooking. He's cooking. That's why I like this guy, the Big E, baby.
Bloody Valentine, 1981 Canadian classic. I want to know your take. I feel like it was underrated because it got out of the spotlight.
It just felt like he was lying during that.
One of the greatest and most influential.
Sopranos. I never watched The Sopranos. I've watched. Okay, let me give my TV takes out the way. Right, Breaking Bad, fantastic. Right, boom. I've watched a lot of TV shows. I watched a lot of the normal. One day I'll get into anime. One day I watched like 30 episodes of One Piece. I watched the rest one day. I watched the other 10,000 one day. But I've watched most of the TV shows. I haven't watched The Sopranos, but I've watched The Wire. Let me tell you, right? So Breaking Bad, as good as people say it is. It's fantastic. Better Call Saul, a little bit more boring at times. There's a lot less death at times and, you know, like just insanity. But you know, the intricacies of him becoming a lawyer, all this stuff's pretty cool. And it also rounds up beautifully, like the last few seasons. Like, and then it also becomes more intense. And then also you see all the backstory of all the great people from the show, whatever. Snowfall, don't say anything has happened from the new season because I haven't watched it yet. So just don't. But I heard it's garbage. So that's why I didn't watch it. And I'm probably going to watch it sometime eventually. What's crazy is that I don't know why I haven't watched it because the first like 4 or 5 seasons or however many there is are some of my favorite seasons ever of like anything. Franklin Saint's one of the best characters. What other shows are there? Ozark is cool, but Ozark is like a good show with the worst characters of all time. Like Ozark somehow made every character except for like the main dude Marty and the country girl like unenjoyable. Like every single character sucks. Like every single one. Yet it's still a good show. So I don't know how they managed to pull that off, but almost every single character sucks. I never cared when any characters die. Like, and then they do some crazy stuff in Ozark too. I don't remember what other shows there are. What other shows are on Netflix? Oh, Stranger Things. Yo, the ending of the last season was garbage. Absolutely. That's like they just wanted to have another season. Thank God it's ending after this because it was really good. We were watching all the episodes together. The first like 8 seasons were I mean, the first 8 episodes of the new season were all like S tier. And then somehow the last I felt like I wasted like 6 hours watching the last 3 episodes or whatever. Like when they released the second pack, I didn't watch the Dahmer show. What's it called? And then The Wire. Okay, I watched the first 2 seasons and like 3 episodes of The Wire. And The Wire kind of sucks, but it's only because it played in the Wilt era. It's like one of the first like shows of this nature, and like it's like in black and white. It's like basically like watching NBA highlights in black and white, and the scoreboard doesn't pop up until commercial break. Like they don't have like the cool cameras and all that stuff, and they show way too much of like behind the scenes cop stuff, and and they just do too much. They just do too much. They don't get to the point. What's it? There's like some other show. Wait, what was the other show I watched? There's like some shows on. What shows are released this year? I'm trying to remember. There's like some shows that like, well, just like good cinematography and like get to the point. There was one show on Netflix called I was thinking of a different one, but this one came to mind. There was one show on Netflix called Clickbait. It wasn't like great, but it was like cool, and like it got to the, and it's just like fast paced. I had a better example of like a show that kind of like tenders to this new era of like watching like TikTok shorts and stuff where it actually keeps you hooked. The Wire does absolutely everything to tell you to stop watching the show, basically. But it's a good. The first season's good. The second season is atrocious, and that's why I stopped watching it. Warrior on HBO Max is a great show. Best hand-to-hand fighting you'll see in a TV show. That's the thing. I never really care about any of that stuff. I like character, like personality progression. I don't care about fighting. That's why I don't think I've ever, like, I was watching One Piece and I think I stopped watching it because they were fighting too much, and like that's the whole point. So like I never really, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm tweaking. I never really care about fighting personally. I never watched Daredevil. I don't know what the hell Severance is. I mean, I watched Euphoria. Euphoria was cool. I know like Twitter like overrates it or whatever, but it wasn't that bad. It was cool. Breaking Bad is crazy. Yeah, Breaking Bad is still, but yeah, Breaking Bad's the best. And then I honestly really like the Snowfall seasons that I watched so far. I really do. But Franklin, it has to be like I have to really like I like the character. I like his character. I like Franklin Saint's character a lot. And they also showed Len Bias overdosing, so then I felt like an NBA nerd when I knew what was going on.
Shows of all time and pioneered the concept of the anti-hero in TV.
Oh, he's probably
also,
next.
Tony is a class act and role
I just want to see what he
I
says.
agree. Just an absolutely legendary show with Joe. It's how the finale ended prematurely and out of nowhere.
He just said I agree that it's great. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, there's all my my takes on that. He has more that we haven't watched. I'm gonna probably just go straight to those because he's cooking. He's cooking up some crack right now. I'm gonna go to those. Man, wait, should I end the recording or should I just keep going? Let me see.
Get ready, you.
Screw it.
It's been a few months since I last made an overrated, underrated, properly rated video, and I think we're all well fucking overdue for a new one. Get ready to hear my opinions about topics
I like how YouTube tells you like not to curse in the first minutes, and he just does it every single time.
Right after this. Before I continue, I just want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video. Bigger winnings, Chick-fil-A sandwich. Penny Hardaway. I feel he could have been top 5 all time for point guards if he didn't get injured. His height skills and slashing, no offense to O.J. Simpson, were top tier. Also love your humor, Barry. Well, Penny was only great for about 2 or 3 seasons. Even if he had stayed healthy.
Penny's properly rated because he actually was insanely good. I feel, at least from what I'm aware of, was insanely good while he was healthy. But then obviously was so injured. There's so many people that love Penny Hardaway, and for rightfully so.
I don't think he would have reached top 5 point guard ever heights. Maybe top 10, although I'm not sure.
Probably
he never had
10.
22 points per game or 8 assists per game in any season, even before his injuries. He benefits a lot from people's childhood nostalgia. Verdict, overrated. BM Brown, 17. Nick Chubb, I think he's been the best running back in the league for a while, but nobody really talks about him. Underrated, to be honest. I agree, Chubb is an excellent player. He's been very good from the moment he entered the league. He averages 5 assists. Halloween, the holiday, not the movie. It's celebrated in our house with more gusto than Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Okay, so this video was released 4 weeks ago, beginning of October. And today is Halloween. Look at that. 10/31/22, baby. It's Halloween. Look at that. Halloween's pretty cool. I haven't went out on Halloween in like 5 years. Cause I don't know. I didn't talk to any friends after high school or during even high school. I think I stopped going out in like 10th or 11th grade just because I don't know. We just stopped. Like, it wasn't like cool, like trick or treat after like 9th grade. I don't know. Maybe I was just too old. Maybe we were just all too old. But when it was cool, it was really cool. So, yeah.
Love the content, Barry. Thank you. Well, Halloween is
It's definitely, we need to, what's the best holidays while we're here? Screw it. The best Halloween's low-key up there. I don't know, though.
best holiday for one
They're
reason.
all very
It's the
different.
most flexible.
Like a lot of like
As
the
a kid,
holidays
you
that
love
we
it
can
because
actually
you get to
celebrate.
dress up and get shitloads of candy. As you get older, you also love it because you get to dress up and go out and party and potentially do the sex with scantily clad members of the opposite sex. Thanksgiving is boring and Christmas just becomes a chore as an adult. Verdict: under.
He like takes the words away from me because I was thinking about saying that about Christmas. Because I see the chat now, these young men talking about, oh yeah, Christmas, this, that, Christmas better, Christmas clears easily. I still think Christmas is better because Halloween doesn't have as much. Halloween is like Bradley Beal, and Christmas is like James Harden even after he fell off. Because he's still James Harden. Like you still know he can be like James Harden when he needs to be, but like how he is doing this season. But like we don't really like Bradley Beal is like really good. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Christmas though, I haven't cared about Christmas in like 3 years just because I don't get presents anymore. Earth Day is ruined ever since Lil Dicky dropped that song. That song is the worst song released in human history. I'd rather the earth die than that song. I ever hear that song again, honestly. I'd rather just end everybody. Not me, but like the process of that song is the worst song ever. Yeah, but Christmas is I don't know if it's worse than Halloween because like it's just cool vibes. The music sucks though. Like most of the Christmas music is just garbage. Like almost like 80% of it. 80% of it. Taking us to Mars Day. We can go Mars Day and I'll make the song and it'll be better. An act of trees. Thanksgiving is all right. And it's kind of mid. I've kind of I don't know. No, Mariah Carey does not carry Christmas music. That's a bar though.
Underrated. Dakota Moore, The Shining, commonly regarded as one of the best horror thriller movies
Yeah,
ever.
I can't even hit on Fleece now.
Most people love it, but almost no one younger
That's why I
than
had
an
to
older
lower it to
millennial has
70.
seen
I think
or
I
ever
said
heard of it.
90
Well,
last
I've
time.
seen The Shining a couple times, and I
I've
think
never
it's
seen this
extremely
movie.
boring. Sure, there are Jason Keller, Roger Maris, the player who
that
previously
is.
hold the record for most, right? Andy Reid, guy has done well
Coach
with
of
both the
Kansas
quarterbacks
City,
of
right?
two
Yeah,
different
I don't
organizations,
know.
but didn't get over the.
What do you say about
His
him?
track record as a head coach without Mahomes is way better than Belichick's without Brady. It's just food for thought. Verdict: underrated. Daniel Kennedy, Chad Pennington, incredibly
Don't know
underrated
anything about
quarterback
Big
when he wasn't
Chad. I
injured.
don't
He was the
even know
only
what
other
that is.
critic
Sushi?
properly rated. Saxophone 76. Hey, Barry.
I've never had sushi in my entire life.
Very love your content. Would love to hear your thoughts on sushi. Sushi is good, although it's a food I need to be in the mood for. It's a perfectly
I've never. I've had a shrimp. My mom's allergic to seafood, so I've never like. I think I had shrimp though prior to her finding out she was allergic. So then I'm like, oh, I like shrimp. So ever since she I don't know. I've never had sushi, and I like my food. I don't think I'd want to have. I think I could die without eating sushi and be perfectly fine.
respectable food.
Any other foods I never ate? I feel like I ate most of the stuff. I think I didn't eat steak until I was like 9 or 7 or something. Yeah, just had chicken for a while. Never had eggs is crazy. Eggs though, eggs is like, how like eggs is such like a default, like really good for you breakfast. Like I get tired of eggs. Like I'll literally, instead of stopping eating eggs and eating something else for breakfast, because like everything else for breakfast except for eggs is just unhealthy. So I'll just stop eating breakfast altogether. Steak is horrible. It's crazy. Steak is good. Scrambled eggs. No, you can't still be. I don't be eating ketchup with the eggs. Sometimes, but not every day.
Especially when dipped in soy sauce. Verdict: properly rated. Isaiah Crowell. Freddy Krueger. Like
Never
you, Michael
watched a
Myers
Freddy
is my
Krueger
favorite horror
movie.
villain, but Freddy has always been a close second. I'd really like to hear receivers in the league in the 90s.
Who the
However,
hell
he
is Herman
lacked
Moore?
the year and all-star on a contending
Ooh.
team before the brawl changed.
Ron Artest is underrated. They just dropped his Opal. I pulled his whatever the hell card, pink diamond card in 2K. Sold it for 400,000. Great come up.
His career. Well, Artest will always be most known for his outburst and his mental issues, but he could actually play in his prime. As you said, defensive player of the year winner, could score, pass, and rebound respectively.
This might be, I know I just turned 20. I've never drank beer in my whole life. You got to eat it rare or less. Rare? You eating rare steak? Well done is chewing it. No, just this medium well. Rare is crazy. Less? What are you gonna be eating? The cow? What is it? Medium well. Yeah, medium rare is probably cool too. That's probably cool too. Saying halal. Isn't halal like Islam? I'm not.
Although he was never that efficient as a scorer. I think he's one of the last NBA players that other players legitimately feared, and for good reason. We always hear about fake tough guys in the NBA. Well, it's safe to say that
You're about to make me go to bed angry is hilarious.
our test was not one of them. Verdict, underrated for my own safety. William Lovis, Saquon Barkley. He's an interesting
I rock with Saquon. I always say Saquon instead of Saquon. I know it's Saquon. I don't know
player
why
with
I
his
do, but I
incredible
just read it
rookie
like
year,
that
then
all the
injuries, and
time.
now seems to be back to rookie form. I was wondering what you think of him in his
Underrated.
Career. Well,
I don't
expect
care.
quarterback worth a damn. But hey, if Saquon ever gets tired of the losing, we would absolutely welcome him with open arms on the Eagles. Verdict, properly rated. Cole,
Hey,
pineapple on pizza.
Wait. The losing. Ain't we like? Wait, did we win today? The Giants win today? Oh no, did they lose? I saw the last thing I saw was they got a touchdown scored on them. They win. Giants win. They lost. Oh my god, they lost. Screw them.
Pizza
Lost
is
to
underrated
Geno
as hell.
Smith.
It adds the perfect amount of sweetness if done correctly. I'm going to keep this short. Pizza is underrated.
Pineapple on pizza. Chat, pineapple on pizza. Pineapple on pizza. Okay, now look. Pineapple on pizza, underrated. And I don't mean W. Dang, they just throwing the W's. Underrated. Because it's not that bad. Like it's the same as the boneless or whatever it was, the candy corner. I don't know. The same as that. It's just not that bad. It's just not that bad. Like it's not as bad as it's not like an abomination like most. Chicago pizza. I saw this clip of Chance the Rapper. He was laughing with T-Pain talking about, hey, let me know a secret. We do not eat Chicago pizza. They do not eat Chicago. I should ask D. Taylor, but supposedly Chicago people do not eat that pizza. But I feel like that's more of an abomination than pineapple on pizza because it's not that. It's just kind of sweet. I don't know. But I've never intentionally ordered it. My dad used to like it though. And yeah.
Rated as hell. It
was
adds the perfect amount of sweetness if done correctly. I'm going to keep this short. If you enjoy
St.
pineapple
Louis
on pizza, then there's a 95% chance you have people chained up in your basement right now. Verdict, kill it with fire. Isaiah Mouton. Marvin Lewis, the Bengals coach. Hella funny, by the way. You should do a reaction series. Thank you. Well, on one hand, no offense to Shaquem Griffin, Lewis gave the Bengals several legitimately good teams.
I don't know nothing, bro.
But didn't have the motivation
Jerry
to keep it up after
Stackhouse? He's the living proof as to why superstars are pushed too hard by the league and media. Had a near MVP season, then fell off. It was clear he left it all on the court, but didn't have the motivation to keep it up after not receiving any hype after his amazing. Interesting.
Not receiving any hype after his amazing season with the Pistons. Well, he was never in any MVP debates or a serious threat to ever win MVP, even in his best season, because those Piston teams were terrible. But I never saw Stackhouse as anything more than a high-volume chucker just like Allen Iverson. Any team that had him as its best or second-best player was never winning anything. He was a decent bench player for some successful Dallas teams, but the fact that he got MJ comparisons coming out just because he was 6'6" and went to UNC shows how thirsty the media was back then for the next MJ. Verdict, overrated. Elf Puffs.
I don't know what his shooting numbers are, to be honest. I've never checked the Jerry Stackhouse shooting numbers. He's just been there.
Todd Gurley. Short career ended by injury, but his peaks were great. Well, I always...
Chicago style is thin crust. Chances... Chicago style is... What do you mean? Whenever we talk about Chicago pizza, well, I guess they say deep dish pizza, but they never... I don't know what I've never heard Chicago pizza and then seen a picture of thin crust pizza. That's just thin crust pizza. Am I tweaking? Like, I feel like that's the unique... You thought it's Jerry Stackhouse with it? No, that was Jerry Krause. You are, first time chat, and you way off, side of the backboard. I'm going to hit the bang just for that.
Pulls up, three-pointer. Bang!
Felt that Gurley was good, but a bit of a goal line merchant, and people who just looked at his raw stats were misled to how valuable he really was. He fell off faster than Ja Rule due to injuries.
Todd Gurley,
Nobody overrates or even really
Underrated.
talks about him anymore, but he never should have gotten any MVP votes. And raw about it. Love the videos. Thanks for turning me gay for Jimmy. Underrated. Citrus Tron. Tennis. From a spectator perspective.
Tennis seems pretty cool.
It can be understandably boring.
No,
but
it's
from
not
a
even.
player's
It's not even
perspective,
boring to watch.
honestly
It's
a
probably just
blast.
repetitive.
Well,
though.
I've never really been a fan of tennis, nor have I ever really had an interest in following it. I took a couple lessons when I was growing up, but it just didn't really appeal to me. Although, if Anna Kournikova had been my instructor, maybe I would have kept at it. Verdict: overrated. I don't know. AJ Green was known as one of the best wide receivers of the 2010s, but has been more irrelevant.
Tennis, like the thing that I love about basketball in comparison to most sports is that there's so much variety to what happens. Like you get it, like there's just a lot of stuff is just that's it. I don't need to expound on that. There's just so much, like anything can happen on a basketball court at any given time. Like tennis, boom, hit the racket, boom, 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 boom. And then like it might bounce a different way. You might dive and hit it or something. Like I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like the best sport to me is the one with the most variety. And that's it. Yeah, that's it. I put football and that's why I don't like baseball. I put football and soccer or football on the tier lower. I feel like I would like soccer if it was more of an American thing. I don't know how the hell they get into soccer. Football is cool. Soccer is cool. Soccer is probably even more freelance, obviously a little bit more freelance than football, but I like football. And then baseball could burn in hell.
Now, would love to know your thoughts. Well, Green was around a top 5 or so receiver in the league and super consistent.
I never even liked playing baseball.
2011 to 2017, but he's been irrelevant since 2018, and it's kind of sad. He put up good numbers with shit quarterbacks, so I wonder if he could have been.
I have an AJ Green jersey. I don't, but I did. I did have an AJ Green jersey when I was in the elementary school with my friends. What's it called? I think it was from like, one of them bootleg buy jersey sites, because they were like, oh my God, it's the official jerseys. And it definitely wasn't official. But they're like, yeah, buy jerseys, blah, blah, whatever. I bought AJ Green, Percy Harvin. We all bought like 4. Andrew Luck and Adrian Peterson. Those are my 4. And I had them for like 5 years or something. I don't know where they went, but I was in the 5th grade.
Better than Dalton. But even at his peak, I thought he was just a tick or so below guys like Megatron, Julio, AB, and Hopkins. Verdict: properly rated. Samuel Teeple, Clay Matthews. Now that he's officially retired,
thankfully he didn't say he's overrated.
Good quarterback, and honestly, one of 2009 to 2012, and is unfairly blamed about. Verdict: underrated. Matabs.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Halloween is coming up, and I'm curious about. Now here's the thing, right? Now, some of these candies, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are still properly rated, if not underrated. But some of these candies are just too sweet. Like, just too sweet. And I like sweet stuff. Like, I like sugar and all that stuff. But some of these candies are just too sweet. Like, I rather just, I don't know. Like, so here's the thing, right? My mom put me on, like, 6 to 8 years ago. I consistently eat just dark chocolate. My go-to, I eat 85 or higher % dark chocolate with minimal sugar, and it's sweet. It tastes sweet, and that's it. And so anything like milk chocolate with too much sugar is like overdoing it. Like I'd rather just, yeah, I don't know. I rather, I actually it's most of the off-brand versions that are like dark chocolate with less sugar are actually better than Reese's, but they just cost more, so then people don't eat them.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Halloween is coming up, and I'm curious about your take on my favorite chocolate. Well, I am a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
I think everybody would eat like those Mr. Beast things with the
especially any Reese's ice
with the what's it called on it, like the Mr. Beast videos where they'd be like eating like the really expensive pizza, and it's just because they put the gold truffle on top that costs $10 million. Yeah, so like I feel like a lot of people would eat stuff like that if it cost $5 and not the McDonald's menu didn't cost $1. You know,
that ass would order about 10 of those in the Reese's flavors and would eat them all in a week. Truly an elite junk food. Verdict: underrated. MSU for life. Could you touch on?
Did you say underrated?
Truly an elite junk food. Verdict: underrated. MSU for life. Could you touch on William the Fridge Perry's NFL line touchdown achiever? Overrated, and often use them to determine how a player is doing. Well, PFF has generated a lot of content.
I don't know what this is.
Verdict: because of Giannis is not.
Chris Middleton. People forget the number of huge. Chris Middleton is underrated. So here's the thing, right? Okay. This is back to basketball nerd argument, right? Chris Middleton single-handedly, and okay, I don't want to make this sound disrespectful, because Giannis is fundamentally the same player now that he was prior to him winning the championship, right? Fundamentally. Yet it was still up in the air. Now you'd probably argue with people that Giannis and Jokic are the two best players in the league, and most people would go and say Giannis is the best because he's that good at defense, right? And he's still a solid playmaker and is so insane at offense and dominant and all that stuff, right? Most people would probably say Giannis is the best player in the league right now. But back before he won the ring, you know, there was more wariness about him because of how unsuccessful his team was in the playoff, blah, 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 whatever. Giannis, and I don't mean to make this into, I don't want to, this, and my actual sole point of this is not to demean players rather than to bring them all kind of to the same level, which is what I try to do a lot when I'm arguing basketball and stuff, is that a lot of these guys are on a very similar level from like the top 30 players. Like they could all cook each other individually on different nights and whatever. Most of these guys are all, could be top 1 players and drop 30 points efficiently in a playoff game, like a lot of these guys. Maybe not as consistently as the top 10, but then the top 10 could all do it equally. And then we say, oh my God, this guy's better than this guy, so he has to be better at every single game. But then KD cooks this guy, and now KD's the best player in the league because he cooked this guy. And now this guy's the 7th best player in the league because he was injured for a season. Then he comes back and he's really, really good and he's back to 2. It's like, all right, dog, what the hell are we doing? Can we just establish something here? Who do you trust the most? But what I was getting at is that I was thinking about it, and what was my point here? Is basically that, so Chris Middleton, how do I put it without, the team helps a player's legacy so much, and we never talk about it. Like the actual, like we're like, oh my God, yeah, Giannis is like the same way that now I bring up often that Kevin Durant is overrated sometimes because we literally, it's like the most obvious example of Kevin Durant's legacy being overrated is the fact that we all say his Warrior rings are fraud rings and then continue to place him higher because of the rings that he has earned through that run of championships. We continue to place him higher than certain guys that he probably shouldn't be higher than because of what the leaps and bounds he went through to earn that ring. And I try to refrain from talking about like stuff like that too much because I feel like KD himself even says like, oh yeah, screw legacy. What you do to him? Legacy to an extent is like whatever. It's subjective and it's overrated and who the hell cares? And we all are just humans and everything, whatever. That's basically the route he's going with it. He's just chilling. He wants to live his life and play basketball. But when we are discussing the fact, and it's a continuous discussion that will never end, I feel like and I just thought of it because of Chris Middleton. I'm trying to relate this back to Chris Middleton, but really it's just a general thing, is that Chris Middleton was so good for the Bucks in the playoffs, and without Chris Middleton, just like last year, how we saw last year, without Chris Middleton, they never make it to the finals, they never win the finals. He's the leading shot creator on that team. Is he like 30 or something now? Hold on one second. He's the leading shot creator on that team in terms of, you know, dribbling the ball, shooting, and creating his own shot. And without him, Giannis doesn't win with that ring. And without him, we're not saying, oh yeah, now Giannis is the second greatest power forward ever. He's better than KG. He's better than Dirk. He's better than this player. Like we're not concrete saying those things like how we do now, just because his team was so perfectly in place to help him win that thing. Whereas you could bring a bunch of different players throughout time. Like it's just the concept of rating players based off of their accolades is very flawed. It is very flawed. The same way, and we're all victims to it. Like the same way I can look at Pete Maravich 10 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago, and say, oh yeah, he lost in the first round. Maybe his team was garbage. Like a few of those runs, he actually was shooting good. T-Mac losing in the first round every single time he went there. Well, maybe his teams were garbage. Like, so it is tough to balance ranking players based on how minimal of success they had and how bad their teams actually were. And it's tough to dive deep into depths of how much that actually mattered to what they did, or if they could have done more, they didn't do enough. You know what I'm saying? But, and the player that made me think of this was Joel Embiid. Because right now, I was doubting Giannis the same way. Doubting, but like not doubting, but like kind of like free-flowing constructive criticism of Giannis as he played throughout his career. Because like, all right, dog, you're so minimal in your skill set. and like whatever. So many things have to go right for you to win a ring, and they did. And it might happen again. But when I look at a player like Joel Embiid, I doubt him for the same reasons, because as great as he is on defense, he's obviously not as athletic, versatile as Giannis, just as a ball handler and everything, although he is a great, ball handler and shooter in the post and all that stuff. He is, very prolific in that area. And then he's just consistently been losing. But it's like, would the narrative be switched? Would Joel Embiid be the best player in the league if his team just so happened to, be good enough to make him win a championship? Like, that's how close the talent in the NBA is right now, and how much these legacies will be defined by, like, a guy is going to, at the end of the day, in 15 years, in 10 years, guys are going to be placed so weirdly on different panes and all this stuff and tiers based off of very, very close changes in their, which very, very minuscule changes to their teams and their careers that just so happen to, you get what I'm getting at? Like, it's tough. It's usually also with big men, because they're not controlling the ball all the time. Whereas we see Luka with his team being absolute garbage. You know what I'm saying? He was able to lead them to the conference finals. So, and that's why I do always tend to favor guards, and that's why I do tend to favor a guy like Jokic, who is such a great playmaker. And that's why I did doubt Giannis, because he wasn't as great of a playmaker. He does make good passes now, but it's like he's not like a natural born playmaker, like how someone like it's obvious. You watch the games. But yeah, that's just a random side rant, whatever. But Chris Middleton, based off what I just said, obviously underrated. I think he's going to say the same.
Bucks just were not the same without him last year. Very little weaknesses in his game currently. I think Middleton's ceiling is a perennial all-star / third-team All-NBA caliber player. He's too inconsistent to be a true star who can carry a team. And even when Milwaukee won it all in 2021, he was all over the place from game to game in the playoffs. But he is rightfully seen as one of the best second options in the league, and he looks like this fish. Verdict: properly rated. Dylan Norman, Julius Randle. He's been slandered heavily, but he's also apparently good, leaving me interested to hear.
They got me back on my basketball talk right in time. All right, Julius Randle. Julius Randle is like one of those, like a show where, let's say they give you 5 ingredients that are completely arbitrary to each other. They're very different, and you somehow craft them together into a good meal, but it's still not better than the best meal. Like, Julius Randle shouldn't be as good as he is. He's worked very hard to be as good as he is. But that's what also holds him back from being the best. And that's what brings him more criticism. If Julius Randle was the 4th option on a team, he would get more praise than anybody in the league, because of how well versatile he is with his passing. He's shown good defensive strides for like an entire season. He's a solid shooter a lot of the time. But because he's the leader now, he has to hit really, really tough shots that don't feel natural ever watching him. Like when I watched Carmelo Anthony play back in the day, he felt like him. Like even if he missed a bunch of shots in the game, and then I also as a Knicks fan could see that Melo, oh snap, maybe he is a little more flawed than people seem to recognize as him. He's still a top 10 player, whatever. His shot selection isn't poor. It's just it's literally the only things he can get as a shooter, like as a basketball player. His shot selection at times is poor, but I wouldn't say his shot selection as a whole is poor, because the shots he takes are the only shots he can get as a top option, and it just doesn't feel right a lot of the time. Like the way he has to fade away so distinctively, falling away from the basket. And then his shot, he takes the toughest shots in basketball, but those are the shots that made him as good as he is. Would you do Randall for Miles Turner? Hell no. Why would we do that? I would not. It depends on contracts, and being a one-dimensional scorer can't work if you're viewed as the guy on the roster. It's not even. Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's an odd finisher, but it works often. But he's an odd type of finisher. He takes he's weird looking around the rim. Like there's certain things you could just tell from watching basketball. And like watching the Knicks, when I watched Jalen Brunson take shots at him perfectly off the perfect spot in the glass, one of my favorite players to watch already in the past week or two. He's gonna eventually get exploited and has already while playing someone like the Bucks, playing incredible defenders. It's tough for a guy that's 6'1" to really, really thrive. Whereas playing Utah in the playoffs last year, he's playing a bunch of bums on the perimeter and he's cooking everybody because he's just that good. But he's like a natural born around the rim. Ingram got the handles though. Randall don't. Wait. Hold on. Let me. Yeah, but you said CJ. CJ's another like natural born. There's just certain guys that look natural born when it comes to playing basketball, and certain guys that fight through not being natural born. The way that Zion jumps, nobody else could even achieve that. And he does it while he's 40 pounds overweight. He could still do it. Even if he gets injured, he could still do it. And most guys that are 6'9" can't even do that.
Thanks for the stream, no cap.
You're welcome, AO Taurus. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain things that are just God. And then there's guys like Giannis, who quite literally, with just a shadow of doubt in himself at any point in time over his development, would have never been what he is. But then there's certain things also like his shooting and everything that you just can't unlock no matter how hard you try, at least to the fullest extent. So it's just yeah. But like when I watch RJ Barrett, a very odd player, will always be, but he's still like he just plays odd. He plays I finally saw someone on Twitter say the same thing I've been saying for years. I was scrolling through like Nick's Twitter. Someone's like, he just plays robotic. I'm like, thank you. He plays robotic. He plays very robotic. There's certain guys that also play like that. Then there's guys who play smoother, like Cam Reddish will play smoother, but then he'll also do some stupid stuff and drop the ball 4 times in a row and miss airball a 3. So like everybody's different. You know, that's all it is. But yeah, it's but Julie, back to Randall. He's still properly rated because of his flaws. I think I broke it down pretty perfectly as to why he's an anomaly of a basketball. I've never seen a player like him in terms of how he's a solid playmaker, solid defender at times, great rebounder, great shooter at times. I've never seen man, I don't know. I can't even put it into words. So I got to just leave it at properly.
Randall is your typical good stats, bad team guy. He's not a true first option, and the one time we saw him in the playoffs as the lead guy with the Knicks in 2021, he was atrocious. He can still provide value as the second or third guy, but if he is your team's best player, you're absolutely screwed. I feel like most people realize this though. Verdict, properly rated.
Thank you.
Z. Schallenberger.
That's
Tim
all.
Tebow. His stat lines.
He focused on his downsides, but
told the dismal story, and he never had real success, but he was a fan favorite, solid leader, and a multi-talented quarterback. Well, I don't know about that last part. Tebow was a horrible NFL quarterback, but I truly do believe he could have had a long and successful NFL career if he had transitioned to fullback or a Swiss Army knife type of player like Taysom Hill. He had legitimate skills around the goal line and was built like a fullback. Unfortunately, he was just too stubborn to make the change. Verdict, overrated. Trent Dassin. Top Gun Maverick, the biggest film of the summer, which cares for the mental well-being of his fans. And was the man and the Speedy Al 4 NFL
theme on Fox.
Gets me hyped. I think people overlook. I think there's a real argument to put him in the pantheon of Verdict, overrated. Chandler wait. Personally, but people just
Coconut. I don't even think I've ever thought about my love or hate for Coconut.
Don't like Coconut anything. Coconut is absolutely fucking terrible in any situation, and I don't know how any person can enjoy it. If you like Coconut, I'm going to assume you like having shriveled ball sacks in your mouth. Verdict, overrated. Chandler Rogers. How do you feel about kissing on the first date? Well, considering I've never left my basement at any point over the last 20 years, I can't tell you what it's like to kiss a female on a first date. Verdict, incomplete. Irvin Productions. Jason Witten. Besides him not winning a Super Bowl, I think he was a punting legend while in the NFL. I haven't had Papa John's pizza out there.
Oh, he probably gonna say some crazy stuff about Papa John's, so I'm gonna just skip over it. Papa John's pizza is the best fast food pizza out there. See, in New York, we don't gotta have fast food pizza places. We have pizza. Like, we have places that make good pizza, so we don't be doing that. Chad, how you feel? Who says that? See, I think though, out of the ones I've tried, or not tried, but like I've had most of them. Oh, Pizza Hut's the best one. Pizza Hut's the best one. That's the best one. Pizza is not. I wouldn't say pizza. Pizza's a little. It's not overrated though, because like, man, like chicken and like some other stuff just be bland sometimes, and like pizza's always heat, but like you can't always have pizza. You can't always have pizza though, because you don't really get full off of pizza. Yeah, Pizza Hut's the best one though. It's better than It tastes the most like normal pizza. Domino's is odd, but it's alright. They're all alright. Like they're all alright, but Pizza Hut's definitely the best one.
Clearly, they're underrated as other pizza places exist, but I'd love first season is already Pizza Hut. Verdict: overrated.
Overrated? Yeah, I don't really care. Baker Mayfield, Christian Bale's Dark Knight.
Trilogies of all
I watched the I don't know, it's one of like the really highly, it's like the highest rated movie or something. I watched that Dark Knight like a couple back when the original Batman, back when the new Batman dropped. And it was cool.
I think it was better.
I didn't watch any other
Batman.
ones.
How do you feel about him? Well, the Bale Batman trilogy was great, but they weren't great because of Bale's performance as Batman. In fact, once you consider his hilariously awful Batman voice, you could say,
oh yeah, that pissed me off. I'm sorry.
He was an average Batman, although his scenes as Bruce Wayne were always pretty good. The Nolan trilogy will always be more remembered for his villains, especially the Joker. Verdict: properly rated. And finally, Daily Dose of Baseball, the Cobra Kai Netflix series. I think that series is criminally underrated. A rivalry. I honestly could care less about all the teenage romance drama that seems to take up half the scenes now. Also, some of the fighting scenes are just silly and far-fetched. Still, it's been a great show, and I'm glad it exists. Verdict: on get ready, you.
Was there any? Why is it Sean Watson this thumbnail? I feel like we watched the. Where's 4? Oh wow, he made it a white thumbnail.
That's right, you bastards. It's time for Overrated, Underrated, or Properly Rated Part 4. Without further ado, Amendola.
I feel like I might as well skim through this one more.
But people too long. Priest Holmes.
I don't know any of this so far.
Started watching
The boy. That's another one. That's another. The Boys is great. Why did we not talk about The Boys earlier? The Boys is a great show.
And absolutely love the show. Would love to hear your thoughts. Also, you're killing it. Keep it up. Thank you. No offense to Aaron Hernandez. I am a huge fan of The Boys. I love the show and also the comics, although I do think the show is better. The comics were also very good and I think had an excellent twist at the very end. The show is very rarely boring and the violence is so over
that's the thing. It's another one of those shows that appeals to the modern audience because it just doesn't get boring often.
That I honestly can't help but laugh at it when it happens. Homelander makes the show go though, and I cannot wait for season 4 already. For as popular as it is, I think it's even better than the hype. Verdict: underrated. Houston Herzberg, John Havlicek, he's got the accolades and most played a vital piece in the dominant fit in today. He was an elite athlete and had insane endurance thanks to being born with oversized lungs. He was never a dominant player or won MVP, but he did go 8-0 in the finals, if that thing kind of rocks your boat. And he won a finals MVP and he finished with over 26,000 points. So he should get more recognition on the all-time list, in my opinion.
I'm pretty sure John Havlicek was the one with the most missed shots ever before Kobe took the record. And honestly, that just makes me respect him more. Like, that makes me respect him more, to be honest with you. like in retrospect.
Underrated. Caleb the Verburger. What are your thoughts on March Madness? It is widely considered the greatest postseason in sports by far. It is really heaven good for viewers, but some criticize the legitimacy of the tournament because the best team usually doesn't win the whole thing. Well, as a kid, I was a huge college basketball fan, but now I find it mostly unwatchable outside of the tournament. As you said, due to it being single elimination, it can lead to some wonky champions. But to me, the tournament is also a bit of a ruse.
I think it's the beauty of it, though. That's not like that crazy.
And that takes up all the attention and all the hype. And anything can happen is the reputation that it has. But guess what? A blue blood school always ends up winning in the end, no matter what. It's a great illusion. Verdict: overrated. James Wilkins. Sidney Crosby. He was an absolute legend almost all of his career and one of the most cohesive and fun to play multiplayer games out there. Would love to hear your thoughts, Barry. I have never once played Fortnite in my entire life, and honestly, I don't think I'm any worse off because of it. Maybe if I was younger, I would have gotten into the game, but I'm a man with 2 working testicles, so I didn't. Verdict: overrated. Mahalo, Mac.
I like how he just made it overrated. Oh, let's not do Aaron Hernandez. Fortnite's probably properly rated. I don't know. I just don't really like shooting games like that. Also, I think the concept of why you should continue to play Fortnite is just so garbage. I don't play any. I play 2K. Like, I've been playing my team again recently. Thankfully, I've actually enjoyed it because I wasn't enjoying it, but I've been playing again because when I play more, I get better cards. Or when I play this, I get better, like, or I play my career, I get my player upgrades. Like, things actually change. Fortnite, nothing changes. You just play over and over again and you get a new skin. And you have to pay for the battle pass in order to get the skins. Or you pay for the skins in general. And I don't care about my skin changing. I don't care about my opinion, my appearance changing on a game, me personally. I didn't care about my appearance changing in real life. So why am I gonna care about my Fortnite character? It changed though, can't build forts anymore. Yeah, I know. I've played it. I've played it in the past like 4 or 5 months or something. I've played it before, like 6, 7 times. And it's, yeah.
I always felt he was underrated when
But yeah, I just think that was the reason why I got off of it. I played it when it first became popular. I think I got on in like February of 18. And by the time I was off of it way earlier before anybody else, I was off of it within like 2 months. And
talking about great defensive ends, and that could be because he was on.
do you think my team pushed Pink Diamonds too early? I actually think they're pacing it really well this year. That's why I got on it actually. So I earned I don't know if I've been on stream yet since I did it, but I earned I'll play with it in a few. I earned the Pink Diamond Westbrook, the trophy case card, and it has the trophy case cards have the most badges in the game unless you apply badges to players. Still, and it's been 2 months. And I didn't play the first month or season at all because I don't really like the 5v5 gameplay, or at least I didn't. I still don't, but I think the gameplay issues become less and less prevalent the more and more you actually make your team better. The better the team is, the more control you feel like you have. So that's good. Yeah, but prior to that, the 5v5 gameplay always felt garbage. You love your AI trophy card. I feel like AI is a default liability because of how short and bad at defense he is. But at the end of the day, AIs are really good. Like, he has one of the most unique cards in 2K every single year. That Ruby AI, I think 2 years ago, that they gave you as a starter card was one of the best cards I've ever played with.
Bad Dolphins teams. I would love to hear your take on it. Keep up the good content. Well,
Joy Taylor. Oh, you guys are talking about analysts? Man, analysts are analysts would be a good discussion of who's the best, worst, whatever.
thanks a bunch, Noah. I mean, first of all, with Jason Taylor, the man end of all time, or should others be in that conversation? Well, the Beatles have some songs that I enjoy, and I think they're objectively a good band. Maybe that's just my whiteness talking, but still, I've always been a bit puzzled as to why they're seen as the best band ever by many. Maybe it's because they were the first.
Who's you guys' favorite like mainstream analyst, like analyst on ESPN, or, you know, I guess JJ counts. I guess most people would probably say JJ Redick. The Beatles are good, but they stole the music from Black Americans. Wasn't that hold on one second. Let me read I'll read that first time chat in a second. But wasn't that Elvis? First time tuning into a stream, just want to say love you, Rizzy, make me want more knowledge about ball. Also, plus could you do the Joel Embiid voice? Draymond, no, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never done a Joel Embiid voice. Me and Joel, we're good friends. Draymond, I'm scared he's gonna punch me though. But I appreciate what they've done for the music scene. They all did. Joey Taylor, Count, Maroon 5 better. I say Barkley has the best takes. In terms of entertainment, Barkley probably is. Nah, Stephen A. still. No, you know what though? Because when I watch Barkley, I don't expect anything. And not that I expect anything from Stephen A., but Stephen A. presents himself like he's going to give me something of knowledge, and I never receive it. If anything, Shannon Sharp's one of the better ones. If anything, like, just he presents himself with more integrity than most of these guys. I feel like he is one of the better ones. He is, but not that I intentionally watch, but if I see clips or anything like that, I enjoy watching. I don't really watch any. I swear to God, I think we watched a clip about like LeBron and Kareem on stream probably like a couple weeks ago. But aside from that, I've never watched Undisputed. I've never watched First Take intentionally, except for like when I was a kid and I used to skip school and it was on the TV at 10 a.m. Yeah, I never. Which that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't watch it as a kid, because I was at school usually.
real global rock and roll band? I don't know. Timing is everything. I don't view music as a competition like others do, but there are still many artists and bands that I listen to and like more than the Beatles. Verdict, overrated.
I don't view artistry as a competition either. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, I feel like we put things in a hierarchy. Artistry is the least competition thing that should possibly be, like, because it's the most emotion based. I mean, everything art is emotion based, but I'm just saying, like, nobody else could create what another person could create, at least in most circumstances. And if they can, it's probably, it's not as unique, and you're not really changing anything. That's what happens with a lot of people. They try and fit into the mold of like what's popular, and then they kind of just get forgotten because they had something that they were good at in the first place. There's like a million examples of it, even in the past 10 years, of like artists I liked, and then they try to be like mainstream, and then they end up losing their original fans, and they get mainstream, but then they like become universally like kind of negative reputation.
232. Josh Hamilton. Yes, he missed the majority of his prime, but from 2008 to 2011, I believe The Notorious Drug Hater was one of the horror films. I'd like to hear
Shining,
you are
never watched
I'm a
it.
Duke fan. I feel like he's choked away
Coach
some
K.
seasons with some absolute wooden. I mean, yeah, he didn't win with some talented squads, but you can say that about pretty much every top
George
program.
Gervin.
Verdict? Probably the original but inferior version of Kevin Durant. The Charmander to KD's Charizard, if you will. While Gervin's scoring ability was certainly not overrated, he was pretty one-dimensional, and his team's never won anything
comparison takes away from
although
your enjoyment. Like, I used to like sit in school. Yeah, that's the biggest part. Basketball, it happens too, especially music, because you'll be listening. I got friends that will consistently hate, and I'll do it for fun, but like consistently hate on, like, passionately on certain artists and whatever, and then never listen to them. It's like, what if you don't have to love, oh my God, the photo is hilarious. Drop the emote. If you got the emote is there, drop the emote. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. People will like consistently hate on artists, and it like sucks because like it's not like they're just dribbling a ball. It's like you're literally creating entire works of art, and then they just hate it on because you're compared to another person, when your stuff is pretty like adding to the value of art in itself.
He did come very close to making the finals in 1979, but blew a 3-1 lead. No offense to Steph Curry. Verdict, properly rated. Mark Engelmeyer. Since you're such a huge Halloween fan, I would like to hear your thoughts on artificial playoff nonsense at the end of the season. Thought. Look, I don't know shit about NASCAR, and I don't pretend to, but any man who helped storm the beaches of Normandy on D-Day like Earnhardt deserves everybody's utmost respect. He also had an incredible mustache that let everybody know he was the alpha in the room at all times. Verdict, underrated. AVG, Dragon Ball, one of the most popular anime of all time, with and McMahon has reportedly done a lot of bad things, so I'm no fan of his. Still, often viewed as the best modern horror movie. Since you're an avid horror fan, I'm curious to see what you think of it. Julio Jones. A lot of people overlook him now, but don't really Tampa and put up all-pro numbers again. Eat Arby's. Verdict, properly rated. Jason Keller. Mickey Mantle, one of the greatest to ever play in the MLB, but was a monster for a few years before injuries. I would argue he would have been a top 5 shooting guard of all time had he stayed healthy. Nobody will ever know how good Roy could have been for sure, since
only played like 2 years.
Him right as he was entering his peak prime years. Do I think he would have been as good as guys like LeBron, Durant, Steph, or even Kobe? No, but he could have been a consistent staple for second or third team All-NBA, like a Paul Pierce or a Paul George. Does that make him a top 5 shooting guard of all time if he stays healthy? It might have been borderline. Verdict, properly rated. Braden Selby, Soldier Boy, arguably one of the world's greatest and most honored inventors, having introduced to us the internet, video games, and the year 2007. Well, this is just one man's opinion, but to me, Soldier Boy is the most honored inventors, having
I just realized he was actually talking about Soldier Boy.
Video games and the year 2007. Well, this is just one man's opinion, but to me, Soldier Boy is a national hero who deserves respect forever for his impact on the music industry in the late 2000s. He had the world in a stranglehold in 2007 with Crank That, and saved countless lives with his follow-up hit Kiss Me Through the Phone. He might suck at basketball, but who cares? Verdict, underrated. Ito Cabaretti, George Kittle, on his day, I think you mean to say best day, the best tight end in the NFL, but is inconsistent and injury prone. Well, when healthy, Kittle is the closest Tommy Sheffield. Love your content.
Here's one: pancakes. It's always either pancakes, waffles, French toast. Pancakes are underrated. I mean, they're properly rated because like everybody kind of. I don't think anybody's a psychopath enough to. Okay, well, pancakes either underrated or properly rated. Waffles either underrated or properly rated. French toast overrated to the maximum. One of the most overrated things of all time. French toast is wet bread. Wet bread.
Berry, thank you. Here's one, pancakes. It's always either pancakes, waffles, or French toast, so what's your thoughts on pancake? Well, there are some foods, like pizza, for example, that are almost impossible to screw up. I think pancakes are another one of those foods. Yeah, they're not good for you, but who gives a shit? I love stuffing my fucking face with that shit. Verdict?
Yeah. Why did you...
Underrated.
I love this
David
guy.
Barufi. Hi, Barry. First-time commenter, long-time fan. I'm curious how you would rank Joe Buck. Joe Buck gets way too much hate. I think one of his roles perfectly. I want to know your thoughts on him. Well, I'm not gay. Properly rated as an actor. Overrated in look. Caleb. Lasagna. I feel it's very overrated by the Garfield.
Lasagna is overrated. I had baked ziti today. It was actually my mom's birthday, and she wanted baked ziti, I guess. Baked ziti is really good, but like lasagna is like beef and then like the weird macaroni and then cheese, I think, and then it's kind of OD. Like they're doing a little bit too much. They're doing a little bit too much. Voluptuous W. I think it's a little bit OD. I think it's a little bit OD.
Franchise, I've always found it kind of gross. Well, you're right.
Thanks.
Lasagna has gotten a lot of undeserved publicity over the years from the fact that a fictional orange cat has a fetish for it. I've tried it a few times and I was never that impressed. I think it also gave me explosive diarrhea once. A much less heralded food like chicken marsala is 100 times better. Verdict, overrated. Wilo, Labrador Retriever. Well, I'm a sucker for dogs.
I have Italian in my blood. I'm assuming lasagna is Italian. You never know. It's like how French toast, or not French toast, like how French fries aren't actually French, they're American. Holy hell, thank you, Devin. Did my audio just glitch? I don't know, but I heard it.
General, but
thank you, Devin. I appreciate the 5 gifted. Where's warm butter on a biscuit been today, huh? Where has he been at? Thank you, Devin. It's your time. You got it. Appreciate that. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of better Italian foods than lasagna.
Especially labs, as I have owned 2 yellow labs in my life. As puppies, they can sometimes be evil little. Overrated. Wilo, Labrador Retriever. Well, I'm a sucker for.
I don't really like. I don't really like big dogs that like have like, aren't labs like, are labs even like tough for real? Like at least have a purpose if you're gonna be that big. It's kind of there. Like big dogs be getting away. I used to have a pit bull and he was cool. Like he wasn't like crazy or anything. But like I do enjoy having a small dog more. It's like nicer and just small dog. I don't know, just chilling. Like you just pick up the dog. And it doesn't like get in the way as much. Now my dog though, I didn't have a small house, so my dog would just get in the way, like it'd be laying on the floor, and then I accidentally just trip on the dog. But in a bigger house, probably not as bad. But I'll tell you right now, there will never be a time in my life where I get a golden lab. Never. So I guess overrated.
For dogs in general, but especially labs, as I have owned 2 yellow labs in my life. As puppies, they can sometimes be evil
dogs aren't overrated as a whole though. I disagree with that.
Fuckers, but it's not their fault, all right? As they get older, they become great companions and will always be there for you. The only bad thing about labs
they seem like they'd be cool though, but I wouldn't put in. I feel like old, like let's say you old and you got a golden lab and it's just chilling with you. It's probably cool. Like as someone who's like around and then like the lab probably want to bark at something. Like if it's old and it's not barking, I'm not trying to get like a loud, annoying big dog that just be like around the house. Like that'd be barking at just anything. That I'm not trying to deal with. I'd rather deal with a small dog that's annoying, because then someone's always pick my dog up while she's barking and I'll just like look at her and she'll stop. Like, what the hell are you gonna do? Yeah, I'm holding you.
Any dog really, is that eventually you'll have to say goodbye to them and it absolutely kills you inside. Verdict, very good dog. Yammerman, Jim Boeheim. He has had a quantity of winning seasons in his career as head coach.
Didn't Jim Boeheim kill a man? That's a Jim. Joe Mixon, I've got his card on Madden a couple times in that little draft champion. D'Angelo Russell.
Why D'Angelo Russell has a dedicated San Marino. D'Angelo Russell. I will never understand why D'Angelo Russell has a dedicated stan base, considering he fucking stinks. He's the basketball equivalent of fat.
Does he have a stan base? I feel like D'Angelo Russell's stan base is gone, bro. It's 2022. There's no way. There's just no way.
Fast food. Lots of empty calories that make you feel good momentarily before you realize in the big picture you actually hurt yourself coming into contact with it. There's a reason he's been traded so many times. Verdict, overrated.
Yeah, D'Angelo has a very inconsistent style of play as a star, and then also as a he's a good playmaker. I feel like he improved. I heard that he improved on the. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I watched all the Wolves games last year and saw D'Angelo Russell's defense. I heard that he improved on defense last year. I don't know if he's still doing it this year. But then he kind of just sucked and sold in the playoffs. And yeah, I don't know. He's not like ever consistent in one thing. That's the issue with him. You can never rely on D'Angelo for one thing. D'Angelo's kind of like there, and you just pray that things go right. So that's the only issue with D'Angelo. And if they do go right, it's pretty cool. But
Overrated. Mighty Midget, Von Miller. He had an all-time great Super Bowl performance, then kind of went quiet for a few years before getting
it's like he's not like a elite finisher. So like when he runs a pick and roll, it's like he's a great, he has a great floater, but he's not like some sort of like insane threat driving and like, you know, crashing the basket. I don't know.
a second life in LA. Do you think Buffalo paid too much for him?
Like,
I
that's
think
where he
Buffalo pointed up
thrives.
and powerful hitter. Canseco is a snitch and a clown, and his post-baseball
What is this,
career.
barbecue sauce?
Verdict, properly rated. 42 Duncan, barbecue sauce. I think it is
Barbecue sauce is great. Barbecue sauce, we were talking about sugar, very sugary.
superior to ketchup, but I would like to
But
hear
it's
your
great.
thoughts. I don't mind barbecue
Barbecue
sauce on ribs, but other than that, no. People who put barbecue sauce instead of ketchup on things like fries and burgers.
I don't put it on fries and burgers. I would eat it with steak sometimes. And that's really it. Or chicken. Yeah, chicken.
Are psychopaths and should be
I don't know
taken
why you
by
just
the
said
police
ribs.
immediately. Verdict, overrated. Stolte, I think. Kyler Murray, he just got an absolutely huge
If you don't mention
contract, and
chicken,
people
then how are you
calling
gonna
him
say it's
overpaid and a
overrated?
choker. As a Cardinals fan, I am hoping he has a good future. What is your opinion? The Cardinals just gave Kyler $250 million before outing him as a guy who plays video games instead
I
of
live in the
studying
South.
film.
Barbecue is a
Pair
food
this with
group.
how he declines every year as the season goes on. I wouldn't say he's held in the highest regard right now across the league, so it's hard for him to be
How's
overrated.
Kyler doing
At least
this
he
year?
doesn't have any sexual assault lawsuits
Oh
against
my
him
God.
like another quarterback who got a massive
GTA.
contract extension this
Kyle
offseason.
Korver?
Shooters of all time, but never gets the
Kyle Korver's he's Kyle Korver.
credit he deserves. Well, Korver had a long
Yeah, because if Kyle Korver was around back like I mean, this is very hypothetical because then probably wouldn't be as much of a, you know, lock-in shooter as he is if he was in an earlier era. But I feel like with his exact style of play, if he like started playing like 10 years earlier, he'd be way more highly coveted. I don't know. No, he's pretty highly coveted though, even as he is. Even like in the era he played in, I feel like he'd be pretty much the same. But I just feel like, yeah, no, you got it. Yeah, I feel like
very respectable career as a sharpshooter, but I wouldn't say he was overlooked. For me, as a
that's
LeBron
what I'm
fan, I will
saying.
never be able to forget how he missed a crucial open three late in Game 3 of the 2017 Finals, and
I always remember that final. I
then
always remember
shot
that shot.
6.3% in the 2018 Finals. It's just impossible for me to believe still. He seems like a great guy, though. I'd let my wife bang him. Verdict, properly rated. And finally, Kerry Wells, Adam Sandler. People see him
Adam
as a
Sandler's
B-rate
last
movie
couple
star,
roles
but he
have
has
been
tons
great.
of movies he's in that are actually pretty good. Look, Sandler's run in the mid to late 90s when he put out Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, The Wedding Singer, The Waterboy, and Big Daddy in succession will always prevent
This
him
video
from
came
being
out before the
overrated
new
to me.
movie? I
Sure,
don't
his
know,
career
maybe
since
after.
then has been mostly misses, but he's still put out good films like 8 Crazy Nights, The Longest Yard remake, and Uncut Gems. The Waterboy in particular will always be the best football movie ever. Verdict, properly rated.
He's goated. Disappears in the spotlight. Yo, I think that's it in terms of ones that we haven't watched. At least like updated new
Get
ones.
ready, you
This is NFL specific. I think
Oh,
we watched this one.
Hello there. You snuck up on me.
Oh, he's got timestamps for this one. Screw it. Let me just make sure.
Clear my search history.
Dennis Rodman, Ben Wallace, Dominique Wilkins. Why did he spell Carl like that? Steve Smith. Ooh. We didn't watch this one, but now I'm intrigued. Now I'm very intrigued. I see Yao Ming, Rudy Gobert. Okay. Last one, and then we're done. It's been an hour and 34 minutes
Rated.
long. And
Saul
I'm gonna upload all
Sussman,
this.
Dennis Rodman. He was a key contributor to the second three-peat Bulls and is one of the most recognized NBA players in history. Rodman is a lot.
Okay, so Dennis Rodman, we were just bringing this up earlier in Discord. we had an argument a while back where we were just chilling randomly, and then all of a sudden dudes join in and talking about Dennis Rodman's a top this, that player of all time, like top like 30, 40. Dennis Rodman was the equivalent of Rudy Gobert on the offensive end, and Rudy Gobert is worse. He was worse. And he's consistent. So like he's I love the guy. I love his antics, what he did, his personality, but I wouldn't even say he's definitely not underrated. He's probably overrated, but I like him, so I don't want to say he's overrated. But he's probably overrated. But he's cool though, so I'm gonna say he's probably rated just because emotional wise value, whatever.
I like Draymond Green to me. Not much of a scorer, and if he's your first or second option offensively, you're in a lot of trouble. But he excelled at all the other shit that impacts winning. I don't think the Bad Boy Pistons and the second three-peat Bulls win all those rings without Rodman's insane defense and offensive rebounding. Verdict: properly rated. Kai Ogre 20. Yeah. Ben Wallace, one of the greatest defensive basketball stars. I was only saying it relative to randomly people start joining in. He's just getting started in the video, so maybe he's like, just not want to get too analytic. But I have experiences where people talking about Dennis Rodman's a top 30, 40 player of all time. It's like, all right, hold on. What we doing here? He's not top, but he's top 175 probably. Of the mid-2000s and a key contributor to the Pistons championship team in 2004. Well, to me, it's very similar to Rodman. He had amazing defensive impact that was not overrated, but you could make the case that he is the worst offensive player to make the Hall of Fame in a very, very long time. In my opinion, the praise and the weaknesses even out. Verdict: properly rated. AB 28. Luke Kuechly, one of the best linebackers when he was healthy.
Dominique.
Time. My verdict: properly rated. Mike Scanlon. Hey Barry, I would like to hear your thoughts on Dominique Wilkins, one of the most underrated scorers in NBA history in my opinion. He averaged at least 25 points a game for 10 straight seasons. However, he never led the Hawks past the second round of the playoffs. Wilkins is the 1980s version of Carmelo Anthony for me. Lots of points on average efficiency and not a lot of playoff wins. He got worse in the playoffs, and despite his amazing athleticism and legendary dunks, he never really applied himself to any other area of the game besides scoring, and his team suffered for it. Verdict: overrated. Tanish Patel.
I still say Dominique's properly rated. I don't think anybody crazy overrates him, and he was really, really good at scoring. I would say properly rated, even though there's a lot of players that don't do, a bunch of things and are still good.
Jaren Jackson Jr. He's played fairly well throughout his career, but has struggled with injuries. He has been a great shot blocker, but a below-average rebounder for his position. I absolutely hate Jaren Jackson Jr.'s game. He shoots the ball like it's a medicine ball. He doesn't shoot threes at a high clip. He struggles to finish around the rim, and for all his athleticism, as you said, he's a terrible, terrible rebounder. Plus, he's foul-prone because he tries to block every shot. No defensive discipline. I am not a fan. Verdict: overrated. Lane Silly.
I would say properly rated just because he is a really, really talented defender, but I understand the concerns. Like a lot of the concerns. Also, it's so one of the most frustrating things as a fan is having a player who is insanely bad at when it comes to committing fouls. Man, when Porzingis was a rookie and when Mitchell Robinson was a rookie, oh my, you could look at the stats. They were both, and then I think even Porzingis into like the first 3 seasons, he just for some reason could never stop fouling. He's like Ben Simmons this season at like 50 million. He would just foul out every single game. And then Mitchell Robinson, the exact same thing. But Porzingis was obviously playing so much. Why do you keep on making Miles Turner trade scenarios? Nobody wants
Killy? I hope I'm saying that right. Ben Coates, I would probably say the second rated. Verdict: underrated. Acute Badri. Again, I hope I'm saying this right. Steve Nash. His offensive impact was legendary as he led the number 1 or 2 offense for 8 straight years. I think he's underrated because Kobe stans always tried to diminish his MVPs, even though I think he deserved them. Well, should Nash have won 2 MVPs? No, but he is still one of the best point guards of all time, and as you said, consistently led elite offenses every year. But seriously, who even overrates Nash on an all-time scale? It's not like he's seen as a top 20 player ever or something because of his MVPs. I think he's rightfully viewed in that top 40-ish range, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Nash is actually probably rated, especially for the fact that he has 2 MVPs and people still don't overrate him.
Verdict, properly rated. Awesome Matt 94.
But I
Karl
can't say he's
Anthony
underrated,
Towns.
though.
Has he reached his potential in the NBA? Does his play style put him in an upper tier among centers in the current landscape? As a T-Wolves fan, I wonder your opinion on him. Well, Cat is obviously very talented and extremely...
Boy, this Wolves thing is going to be real interesting. The next few years, man. Just because Cat can't defend the perimeter for his life so far, and then they traded their entire future for a center. So it's going to be, and who's also like 30/31 years old or something like that. It's going to be rough. I personally think they should have traded a first round pick for someone much more easily acquirable, like maybe Miles Turner, or no, Miles Turner. It was crazy that Miles Turner was sometimes more of a 4/5, like, because he wasn't as great of a rebounder as Sabonis, which, so I don't know if that really makes sense right there. I mean, then he'd basically be in the same exact situation with Cat, actually, funnily enough. But what's it called? You think Cat is still improving? I disagree. I think you cap out around that age, 26, 27. I think you're done. But you might like find yourself within more disciplined situations to randomly, oh yeah, you're shooting a little bit better because you're taking better shots. But aside from that, like you might improve IQ wise, but you're not going to improve talent wise, I don't think, after 26, 27. Yeah. Cat is the next archetype of big man, but there's like 4 other big men exactly like him. 3. I mean, 2 specifically, Embiid and Jokic. I know he's the best shooter, but like fundamentally speaking,
efficient and can shoot very well for a big man, but there is something missing. He's not as good of a defender as...
But I think they should have traded like 1 first round pick for... if you wanted like a real center, you should have went and got like Jakob Poeltl and just called it a day.
He should be, and his motor seems to run
And
a little
not, like,
hot and
put
cold.
so much
Overrated,
stock
though?
into
I'm not
Rudy.
sure I would say that. Verdict, properly rated. Eli
We'll see.
Arbeza, Cal Ripken Jr.,
might look
all-time
cool in the
record for
playoffs.
consecutive games played, great
Or
fielder,
not.
and revolutionized the shortstop position.
I don't know who
Ripken was
this
a good...
is. Clayton, don't know that. Steve Smith, don't know. Maybe did we watch this? Kyrie, let's see what he said about Kyrie.
He's my favorite player, and honestly, I feel he's gotten... Playing next to LeBron and Anthony Davis in LA, the league should be very, very worried. Verdict, properly rated.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to say overrated.
And let's be honest, Kyrie's a weirdo, but the man is incredibly gifted at scoring the basketball. His talent is not overrated, but his career, as you said, does leave a lot to be desired due to consistent injuries and, well, let's just say he gets in his own way a lot. His ceiling is incredible, but he's so unpredictable and unreliable. However, if he's in the right state of mind playing next to LeBron and Anthony Davis in LA, the league should be very, very worried. Verdict, properly rated. Gaming Squad. David
Kyrie's one of the most confused. I'm very confused on Kyrie's legacy. He's made it very confusing. So it is what it is. I don't even like to think about it, honestly, because I like Kyrie. Yeah. And then the injuries hurt him. The random, getting traded from the Cavs to the Celtics, and the Celtics to the Nets, and then obviously the lockdown itself, then him not being able to play because of this, and then it's not, and not even as an attack on his character. It's just tough to judge his basketball. And then also too, his few seasons of being the leader of a team not really working out after he wanted to be the leader of a team. And then some of them also being injury ridden. So it's like, then you could argue, well, we had all this momentum and then I got injured. And then also my teams went far without me. So what if I was there? Maybe we could have went all the way. Yeah.
David Ortiz was a borderline Hall of Fame case.
But then he came back the next year. Then he shot bad and they lost. I think the Pacers, or they beat the Pacers and they lost in the second round to somebody. I don't know. Thank you, PR Heat, for the subscription. Chucky, Joel Embiid. Okay, I want to hear the Joel one.
He's been in the MVP discussion, but come playoff time, he's always injured. As a Sixers fan, I love him, but I feel like he's slightly overrated because he puts up numbers in the regular season, but can never make it past the second round of the playoffs. I am not a fan of Embiid's game. He's fucking terrible to watch because he flops endlessly despite his immense strength and size advantages, that's what she said. He's a great player, obviously, but he has still never played a full postseason, and thus far, his play has consistently dropped off in the playoffs in his career, as you alluded to. Anthony Davis Davis gets made fun of for being fragile, but Embiid is even worse in that regard, and he's not better than Jokic. Verdict: overrated. Austin Berry, Zion Williams.
See, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about, because I really like Embiid's shot creation ability as tall as he is. It's really aesthetically pleasing to watch. But I'm still confused on him too, because they just keep on losing despite how good he is against teams that like they should have been able to beat the Hawks. Last year, who they lose to? I'm drawing a blank. Wait, who went to the finals last year? The Celtics? Did they lose to the Celtics? Who'd they lose to? They lose to the Celtics? Or the Heat? They lost to the Heat. They should have been, despite how good the Heat were last year, which they're garbage so far this season. If you're a top 10 player in the NBA, no, he was injured though. He was injured though last season. Don't get it twisted. But I think one of these years he should have been able to make it, because he's about to be 29 or 30 years old. I feel like it should have already happened by now. He's up there. He's either 28 or 29, I believe. Joel Embiid age. Let me see. Embiid age. Let me make sure.
Overrated. Austin Berry,
he'll be turning
Zion
29
Williamson,
before
since
this
he just
season
got a
ends.
max deal after playing 85 games. I desperately want Zion to succeed. He is an absolutely incredible talent and amazing
Underrated.
to watch.
It's a
Other than
funny
LeBron,
picture.
Zion is the best finisher around the basket that I have ever seen. His athleticism is
Yes,
freakish.
see, that's
and
what I'm
jaw-dropping.
saying. That is what I'm saying. Shout out to Ja too. Ja's a great around the rim finisher. Zion is literally already the greatest. Yeah, like he said, he will probably be, if he stays healthy, he will probably be remembered as the greatest around the rim finisher, especially for how tall he is, his verticality, everything. If I speak, I will be in very big trouble.
If he stays healthy and motivated,
We're gonna
his
witness
name will
something
be
crazy
mentioned
if he
among the
stays
legends of
healthy.
the sport when he's done playing. I believe that. Verdict:
you say?
underrated. His name will be mentioned among the legends of the sport when he's done playing. I believe that. Verdict: underrated. Wolfgang Moses.
Bro, he shot 60% from the field, averaging 27 points per game in his second season.
Malone, 3 MVPs, yet rarely mentioned as a top 15 player of all time. Moses is an interesting case. He was a dominant player for a short time, winning 3 MVPs, a ring, and a finals MVP, but he weirdly declined after 1983 at just 27 years old. He also would not translate well to today's game. He couldn't space the floor, he couldn't pass, and he was really slow defensively. His place in history should be respected, but we have to be honest, okay? Verdict: overrated. Slow bloom,
Overrated is
91
crazy.
88.
I think he's properly rated. I wouldn't go over it. I would not.
Marquise Colston, he had almost 10,000 receiving yards, won
I
a
definitely
Super
have him
Bowl,
top
played for
20.
almost 10 years, but he never made a Pro Bowl, which I think is a crime. I think for a 7th round pick, he
Rudy.
was verdict: overrated. Michael Avenry,
This is the last
Rudy
one I wanna
Gobert,
say.
I've always thought he's massively overrated due to his offense lacking, and I was so disappointed to see the Timberwolves give up so much to get him. Would love to hear your thoughts on the trade and/or Rudy Gobert. Gobert is arguably the most disrespected and made fun of NBA player on social media, and some of it is deserved and some of it is not. His playoff deficiencies are well known and real, but his impact in the regular season is also real, and he is an objectively good player. So the trade should help the T-Wolves in the regular season, but is he really going to help them out in the playoffs? I don't think so. Verdict: properly rated. Jack Childrey, Eddie George.
Yeah, he's an anomaly. He's definitely Gobert. We were just arguing about him earlier, and I just made the same comparison we mentioned in videos so far. Dennis Rodman, Ben Wallace, I think they were both in this video actually. Guys like that aren't so heavily scrutinized, but I think I basically said that if Gobert played 10 years, 20 years ago, we would never look back on it, think twice about it. But now he's gonna be a guy that we look back, think twice about because of the social media era, how much scrutiny, whatever, all that stuff. In comparison to guys like he said, Ben Wallace, awful offensive player, Dennis Rodman, bad offensive player. Like they're just not good on offense, but great at defense. And that just happens. And yeah, I don't know why people hate on him so much. He knows the role and had to carry horrible Jazz teams. People hate on him so much because he can't play offense and he got paid a lot of money. And we're in a very offensive dominant league. Also, I feel like when it comes down to it, he's not as quick, versatile as Giannis. He's also not even the strongest player. At least, like I've seen him get bullied by a lot of players just in game to game. It's not every time, you know. He's got a lot of pause. He's a lengthy player. So he's confusing because he's not like a immovable object on the defensive end either. He can be exploited on the defensive end in this era, especially. Unlike a lot of these guys, their talent with a lot less movement on the court was a lot less exploitable. Nowadays, with this era, it's a lot more exploitable. A big man like that with this movement and shooting and everything, so he's a lot more exploitable and has no offense, or almost no. He's a good finisher, he's efficient finisher, not versatile or like crazy talented finisher, but just an efficient finisher, and you get it. Yeah. So he's interesting. He is so confusing that I don't even know if I could properly over or underrate him, because it really depends. He doesn't fit the NBA, but he's a great defender.
Titans fans often act like he was a precursor to Derrick Henry, and I him and always thought if he wasn't hurt, he would be top 10 easy. Well, Ming was a very good player. Nobody disputes that. But this really comes down to whether or not you believe he's a Hall of Famer, and I don't. He didn't have enough great seasons or playoff success to warrant it. He got in largely because he helped grow the sport around the world, particularly in China, but not on his own merit as an NBA player. Had he stayed healthy, I'm sure he could have gotten there, but hey, he didn't stay healthy. Verdict, overrated. Exel.
I agree. I think Yao Ming, looking back, he doesn't look like the most dominant player. He's cool, good vibes, smart guy. I like the one time where he hit the ball off the front of the rim, got it back to himself, and passed to his teammate for the perfect 3-point shot, and he missed it. Forgot who it was. It could have been Steve Francis or something. I don't remember. He was the best player over 7'3", at least in terms of like some sort of longevity. But he's still based off. It's cool though. I'll let people get away with it just because of the fact that it is cool to see someone so tall be so talented for such a long amount of time. But you got to think about though, I would be pissed back in that era, back in the 2000s era as like a teenager, and Yao was making the All-Star team starting every single year because of fan voting, because he wasn't that good for most of the years, like good enough to be starting. Well, it was a weak center era, to be fair. So maybe he was that good, but maybe certain seasons he was injured.
Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey Jr. is one of the best baseball players of all time.
I'd probably be pissed to see the Lakers when Kobe made it, like when he was like his second season and he wasn't even doing all that crazy and made like the starters. Like I'd be pissed as like a not pissed, because I probably would have liked him as a basketball player. You can't not like Kobe's game. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's like how Wiggins made it last year.
Biggest what ifs. He is one of the most well-liked athletes
he's definitely
ever in any sport, and this can sometimes lead to people overrating him based on nostalgia. No, he's not better rated. Mark Larson, Dwayne Wade, particularly the years he played with LeBron in Miami. If you're talking about his entire career, Dwayne Wade might be just slightly overrated, but still an all-time great player. If you're talking strictly about his 4 years with LeBron in Miami, then he is absurdly overrated and propped up as a superstar by LeBron haters, even though any person who watched those teams knows Wade wasn't a superstar after 2011. Verdict, overrated. Nick Alberti,
this is a bad time for me to talk about Wade like this, because he's about to kill Carmelo in GTA. But I can't lie. I do say the same thing about Wade. Often I say the same thing about Wade. I like Dwayne Wade. I like his game. But yeah. I agree. I actually agree with everything he said. I don't even need to say anything else. Saying that knee drainage destroys those heat teams. Yeah, like I agree solely because he broke it down into subdivisions of him with the Heat. I think that yes, he was great enough to win that one ring. I wasn't there. I feel like I've heard a lot about them just getting given a bunch of calls and Wade shooting like 27 free throws in a game. What's it called? But sorry, I was reading the comment. But he after that, soon after, you know, you're not making the playoffs, whatever, Michael Beasley gets drafted. And then LeBron comes around and you're not that great. You're good. You're really good. But like, you know, you're obviously second / 2A, 2B with Bosch, whatever. And then you win 2 rings. And then those are another form of a player's legacy being heavily bolstered up because of rings that they weren't fully in the lead of. Like, what if him and Iverson switched places and Iverson was the one who won those 2 rings with LeBron? Because he probably could have still won those 2 rings if he was still good at that point and not so much older than D Wade. Would we still be saying Iverson? Would we be saying that Iverson's better than D Wade because he was in that situation? You know what I'm saying? So that's all. That's what makes me think about that.
Carmelo
sometimes.
Anthony.
And when it comes to Melo, he might cook Melo, say, oh, he should have went to Chicago. Me personally, I view Melo that he got caught as a player in a sort of weak era during his prime where he was propped up as better than he actually was, and it hurt him. It hurt his winningness of his career because when it comes to how good the league was, he was literally a top 5 player in the league. Top 6, top 5, top 10 at his worst, coming around like the 2015, 14. Yet, if you put him in the league now, he'd be around if you put that prime Melo from like the, what's it called, 2010s, now he'd be more like I feel like he'd be a second fiddle, and B, he would be more in the like 10 to 25 range of best players and not a top 5 player. And I think it would actually help in terms of people's perception of him because he'd be able to play a more concrete role rather than being, you know, people being like, oh, well, why doesn't he get better at defense? Or why? Like, maybe he could have if he didn't have to shoot every single shot with mid teams for his entire prime. He was great. People overrate him. He's not overrated as a player. Then what the hell are we talking about? So that's what I think about Melo. And they did try to build a team around him, and they did, but they just were old. And then what happened was we had a good team for 1 year that won 54 games, and then we never won again because 5 of them retired. Literally 5 of them. 5 of them.
Some see him as one of the best scorers ever. Some see him as an overrated, inconsistent volume shooter. Also, Barry, gosh, you are handsome. Well, thank you so much. That made my day. Well, I've always felt...
And I give Melo the same luxury. This picture's hilarious. I give Melo the same luxury when it comes to well, he wasn't insanely inconsistent, especially for the amount of tough shots he took in comparison to someone like Julius Randle, who just shot garbage number. He wasn't insanely inconsistent. And then you got guys like Iverson who were also inconsistent, but then you look at who's around them, and then you look at Melo, who's inconsistent, look at who's around them. It's like, people say he's one of the toughest players to guard for a reason. Imagine if he was the toughest player to guard and you had someone else great next to him, like a prime Melo and a prime Paul George. Like how now it's such a luxury, or it's such a normality that we just look at the Clippers and prime Kawhi and prime Paul George together. Not say that he's not injured, one of them at almost every single time, but prime Kawhi and prime Paul George together, prime Kyrie and KD are together, LeBron and AD are together. Like there's always, we tried to get him Amari got injured. You know what I'm saying? So like, at the end of the day, it feels like teams are always able to audible into a solid situation and have 2 really, really good basketball players, but he never had a really, really good second. His best scoring option ever out of his entire time in New York after 2011 was 6th man of the year, J.R. Smith. It's not even that he needed at the very least a second fiddle like all these guys have to at least be respected in the way that like KD is respected, even though he went to Golden State and now he kind of looks like an odd, it's like you don't know like who's like he doesn't feel like a leader, but it's like you don't need a leader when your name is Kevin Durant and you're that good at basketball. Eventually, you're still going to be within contention. So, yeah, the Knicks kind of first of all, you can't even spell Knicks, so I'm not. But it's not that I don't think the Knicks destroyed him more than the era of basketball did. I don't think there was much to really do, honestly. I don't know. And then you look at the other teams that were in contention. The The Pacers had who we lost to that one year. Obviously, the Celtics were the Celtics. Even as they were getting older, they beat us once. The Heat obviously beat us, I think, twice, if not once or twice in the playoffs. The Celtics beat us once. The Heat beat us once. And then the Pacers. And then after that, we were just bad. And then you look at like all these like just nicely crafted, well-rounded teams that weren't too good. And we just didn't have nicely crafted, well-rounded players. It was more on the supporting cast than him. That's why I say he's not overrated. I would say he might be overrated by some of the stands, but in my perception, he's not overrated.
Carmelo was overrated, and I've never understood why he has so many fans. I believe it has a lot to do with his awesome name. Sure, he won titles in college and the Olympics.
He has so many fans because he, like I said, he was maybe even unjustly, maybe undeserved. Not undeserved, but you get what I'm saying. Because of the era, one of the 5 greatest players in the sport.
But who gives a shit? He was always a one-dimensional shot
That's what I'm
jacker
saying. He had no
who
help.
stunk in the playoffs.
It's like if saying, bro, I was just making that point earlier about Giannis and Middleton, all this stuff. Like Melo literally had nobody. He had nobody.
And never came close to winning anything. I have nothing personal against the guy. He's just not that great. Verdict: overrated. Caden Christie.
And I'm okay with that. Actually, I thought he was going to go on for longer because there's not another timestamp. I'm okay with him saying he's not that great because I think that's okay. And he would have been more respected in this era as just the best isolation scorer in the game, like potentially. And just that's it. He low-key, he is the Elgin Baylor of the 2010s. He is. No, he is.
Steniak, the 1985 Chicago Bears. I would consider them the greatest NFL team of all time, but am I overrating them because of their defense? The 1985 Bears themselves are not overrated. They have a very strong argument for being the best team in NFL history. They went 18-1 and won.
Like, bro, Kevin Durant had Russell Westbrook and James Harden and Serge Ibaka. Three guys who are still in the league now. Every single player Melo played with in 2013, two of them are coaches. Like Amari played a total of probably 15 games with Melo after the year of 2011, so you can't even count them. Like, it's like at the end of the day, regardless of injuries or not, they could have tried. Then that if you say Amari, then that removes the narrative of, oh, the Knicks didn't do good for him. Landry Fields is a GM. J.R. Smith is in college. Jason Kidd is a coach. Amari Stoudemire was just a coach.
All their playoff games in dominating fashion behind a legendary defense while also having a huge cultural impact. My question, though, has always been, why didn't that
Pablo
team
Prigione's
reel
a coach.
off 3 or 4 titles? In that sense, the 80s Bears are overrated because they should have won multiple titles at least. Verdict: properly rated. David Logan.
Yeah, Rose
Mike
had
Schmidt.
Noah
Don't know if he's
Luau.
underrated, but he just seems forgotten. I almost never hear him come up in
Noah
conversations
just
about the
got out
best
of the
baseball
league.
players of all time.
Luau
I
got
know there's a gap
74
between
million,
Ruth
20.
Bonds,
They
Trout,
both got
and everyone
74
else, but
million,
no one was a
2017.
better third baseman than Michael J. Schmidt. Well, I agree. Mike Schmidt is rightfully considered to be the best third baseman of all time by pretty much everybody. Underrated. Daniel Bogovich. Luka Doncic, in my opinion, the most overrated player in the NBA right now. He could live up to the hype, but as I see it,
Amari
still
was
has a
good
lot
when
of
he
work
played
to
with Melo.
do.
He
Well,
was just,
Luka is a
I don't know about
generational
gel,
talent
but
and absolutely not overrated, but he dominates the ball all the
great
time,
picture.
which leaves some legit questions as to whether or not he will ever be able to win a championship that way. I don't think he can, unless Dallas gets him another superstar or changes the way they built the team. Verdict: properly rated. Billy Edmiston. Ben
I think Luka will be
Roethlisberger, my
fine.
favorite
He'll
quarterback of
win
all
one.
time, as I am a diehard Steelers fan. Want to know how you'd rate the infamous women respecter. Also, hi Barry, wave emoji. I see your Mr. Meeseeks Avi as well, Billy. Hello. Well, as most of you know, I love a great platform overall, but there are many legitimate qualms with the platform. Your thoughts? I think YouTube is an absolutely fabulous platform. The one issue I have with it is that people tend to end their videos abruptly. I mean, seriously, what is up with that?
And on that note,